When a young man sleeps for 10,000 hours in a game, and gains the recognition of the gods of sleep and death, successfully changing his class to a god-level profession, a descendant of Thanatos, what kind of overwhelmingly powerful being will he become? Killing in his dreams? Plundering legendary artifacts? Just by sleeping in the game world, he can leap into the millions. This is a virtual game called Idea. It took the world by storm just 1 year after its release. It's truly a world-changing work. Right now, in the center of the Hamibus Mountains within the game, Agni, the Fire Dragon Knight, rank 31st in the world, is fully armed and walking through a volcano with hot lava on either side. He's here to search for the Fire Dragon, who sleeps within a secret dungeon, to obtain a legendary item, the Heart of the Fire Dragon. Just as Agni was fantasizing about owning the Heart of the Fire Dragon, and reaching the top 10 of the guild ranking, suddenly a player, who was lying in the volcano and fast asleep, blocked his way. Agni was stunned. Even he had to wear a full set of fire-resistant gear to barely survive here. The guy in front of him was actually sprawled on the ground, sleeping soundly. He was even snoring. Who on earth could he be? After observing from a distance for a while, he shockingly discovered that all of the man's equipment was legendary gear. He couldn't help but let out a sinister smile. After all, this person was completely unguarded. Why not seize the opportunity to take all of his props? However, Agni quickly realized something was wrong. Such a skilled person should be very famous in this game. However, he is not among the top 100 players in the national server. Is he an unranked player? Thinking about this, Agni realized he couldn't let his guard down. He directly unleashed his ultimate skill, summoning a giant flame dragon towards the target tool. Unexpectedly, this player, who was sleeping soundly, simply rolled over and dodged the fire dragon's attack. And he also triggered the sleepwalking skill after being attacked. Closing my eyes, I was instantly transported in front of Agni. In the blink of an eye, the person disappeared. Agni was terrified and could only swing blindly. But with the sharp intuition of a top player, he felt that the next attack would be something he couldn't withstand. He immediately summoned the Dragon Bell Shield just in case. This was the strongest shield in his inventory. But he didn't expect the opponent to unleash another wave of attacks in a sleepwalking state, an attack he absolutely couldn't dodge or block. The attack pierced straight through his shield, striking his right shoulder. Agni instantly vomited blood. Before he could figure out who the guy was, the opponent shot an arrow straight into his throat, ending his life. With the player's death, Agni was forced to log out of the game. He also received a penalty in the real world, a 24-hour ban from logging back in. He couldn't understand how he, the 31st ranked player in the server, could lose to a player not even on the official rankings. After defeating him, the guy went under the covers and started snoring. He slept for hours. The player, Li Xianqing, finally woke up. He glanced down and saw countless treasures scattered on the ground. He thought to himself, "It seems my sleepwalking skill has activated." Li Xianqing immediately picked up the hero Agni and his weapon, the flame sword, dropped during his sleepwalking, preparing to sell them. He wanted to exchange them for some money to improve his life. At this moment, the system displayed Li Xianqing's class level was not legendary or epic, but just one single word: a god. Yet Li Xianqing, so overpowered in the game, was just a lowly worker not long ago. He was often unfairly picked on by his boss for entering the company with his left foot first. Despite having been with the company for 5 years, he still only did menial tasks like running errands and buying coffee for everyone. But faced with so much harassment, Xianqing could only endure it silently. Because if he were fired, with only an elementary school education, it would be very difficult for him to get a job in such a large company again. And the nursing and medical expenses for her younger sister, Hyuna, were a huge burden on her. Every day, Hyun-seom wanted to quit. She didn't want to go back to that smoky, chaotic company. But Hyun had to earn money. Only when she returned home from work and saw her dependent sister were those precious few moments of happiness she had each day. But her younger sister, who was at the prime of her youth, couldn't laugh and play like other girls her age. Because 6 years ago, in a car accident, her parents, who were sitting in the front seat, died instantly. Thankfully, Hyunya survived. But she felt it was all her fault because she insisted on her parents going out to eat. Although Hyunya's nerves showed no abnormalities, she was unable to move her legs. After the incident, Hyunya spent a long time in a state of breakdown. But now, things were slowly getting better. This game, it could transport people to another wonderful world. It had only been on the market for over a year. Idea has become the game with the most players. With a company of players from all over the world in the game, My sister's personality gradually became more cheerful. And Xianqing also found the wonderful aspect of this game. That is to use it for sleeping. Because the time flow rate in the real world and in the game is different, 1 hour in reality is equal to 5 hours in the game. So Xianqing is taking advantage of this to sleep. She who could only sleep for 4 or 5 hours in reality can sleep for over 20 hours in the game. Thinking about this, Xianqing admires the game's author. If it wasn't for her, I might have been exhausted to death. And now, the game's popularity means the in-game items can be sold for real money. Many people have become millionaires because of it. But Xianqing didn't dare to dream of that. Her sister wouldn't give up her real-life job to dedicate herself to the game, so she could only use it for sleeping. Every time Xianqing entered the game, the first thing she did was to find a secluded spot in the newbie village and search for a big pile of dung. Then she would lie down comfortably on the in-game bed and go to sleep. As Xianqing was sleeping soundly, a system notification rang out. The sleep time in the game has exceeded 10,000 hours. Transferred to the God-level profession. Obtained God-level skills. Added DP store. Obtained title. Xianqing, who woke up in the game, looked at the pop-up windows. He took a closer look and found that he had actually transferred to a God-level profession. Descendant of Thanatos. He also obtained the limited edition game title. I am a god! Xianqing was obviously shocked by this sudden surprise. He couldn't accept it for a while. He decided to log out of the game first and search online. He learned that there were actually other god-level players like him. He had already been making money from this game for months. Xianqing couldn't help but dream of becoming financially free. He had wanted to quit his job for a long time. He was fed up with the company. He had enough savings to support him and his sister for 2 months. So Xianqing decided to quit his job immediately. He was going to focus on making a fortune from gaming. With his new goal in mind, Xianqing rushed back to the company. He handed in his resignation letter to his bald boss, but in front of the other employees. His boss pretended to want to keep him, just to make things difficult for him. However, she didn't expect that Xianqing now was not the same Xianqing as before. He punched his boss's desk directly. Gritting his teeth, he thanked Baldi for taking care of him for so long. But after this, they would probably never see each other again. The boss was obviously intimidated by Xianqing's powerful aura, frozen in place for a long time, unable to speak. This time, Xianqing had made up his mind. He was determined to get back everything he had lost. Now he has the opportunity to earn money by playing games. He immediately comes to a professional esports arena, preparing to enter the game to ponder the skills he acquired yesterday. You don't know until you see it, and you'll be shocked when you do. Thanatos is the god of death and sleep. He is known as the strongest god. No god can stop him. Open the skill list. 5 skills caught the eye. Players can improve their abilities by 1 point every hour while sleeping. In short, sleeping will increase your sleeping ability value, but you will be forced to sleep randomly every 24 hours. And the next skill, also 1 day, can earn you the same DP points as your sleep time. You can also earn DP points by defeating monsters or NPCs. And these DP points can be used to purchase any skill or item in the exclusive shop. Xianqing opened the shop and took a look. This is simply too awesome. Even legendary items can be bought here. The third skill is called Thanatos Sleepwalking. When a player is attacked while sleeping, they will automatically counterattack. With this skill, he can face any attack without fear. Just sleep without worries. The fourth skill, Thanatos Nightmare, once activated, all weapon attack power will immediately increase by 200%. There is a 10% chance to inflict nightmare and other abnormal states on the opponent. Xianqing saw this skill and exclaimed that it was like cheating. The last skill can put the opponent to sleep for 1 minute by consuming DP points. During this period, the damage to Xianqing will be doubled. With this skill, wouldn't that instantly dominate heaven, earth, and air? When Xianqing entered the game and obtained 5 heaven-defying skills, she felt that her future was promising. She was just thinking. The system suddenly activated the Thanatos Sleep Trial skill. Force Xianqing into sleep mode. Even if the cockpit malfunctions, the character will also remain in the game until forced logout. After sleeping like this for half a day, he walked out of the esports club and thought to himself, "This damn skill is like having narcolepsy." However, he didn't know that his sister is currently undergoing rehabilitation at the hospital. The doctor told his younger sister that although he was still struggling to walk, the psychological factors affecting him were now minimal. His younger sister, wiping her sweat, told the doctor that this was thanks to ID. He became cheerful. The doctor praised Mimi for doing great. As long as she exercises more to grow muscles, she will be fine. He reminded Mimi to apologize to her brother. Also asked his younger sister when she planned to tell her older brother about the medical expenses and additional fees, all of which he paid himself. My sister helplessly said that she had told her older brother before, but he thought she was joking about making money in the game. The doctor handed Diane a glass of water and teased her older brother. Your brother doesn't watch TV, does he? This game is famously profitable recently. Mei smiled and told him that her older brother was a workaholic. And he didn't think that I, being sick, could earn much money from this. I'll tell him later when I have the opportunity. This surprised the doctor, who looked at the little girl in front of him with new eyes. But when Mimi returned home and saw her brother's solemn expression, she thought Jian Xianqing knew that she had run to the hospital and was angry. Just as she was about to ask, she heard Jian Xianqing say that he had resigned today. Her sister wasn't too surprised to hear about his resignation, because she knew he was tired and often worked overtime. What surprised her even more was that her brother told her he was going to make money by selling his ID. He was about to explain to his sister that although the decision was sudden, she lit up with excitement, and asked him if it was true. Should I really quit my job to earn money on ID? After receiving his affirmative answer, the sister excitedly expressed that her brother had finally come to his senses. She said, "Nowadays, many people make money from this game. Every time I see you come home from overtime work in the middle of the night, I want you to quit your job and come to ID. But I'm afraid you'll find it strange, so I never dared to say it." And what surprised Xianqing even more was, his younger sister is unexpectedly a top 1,000 player in the country, officially ranked 331. But she earned a lot of money here. Even the medical expenses were paid by herself. Hearing these wise and loyal people, she angrily asked her younger sister, "What else are you hiding from him?" His sister quickly explained that she was making money in the game to supplement her gas money. That was the money her brother had worked hard for. Her brother hadn't even spent any money on himself. "I have told you that I make money. It's just that you didn't take it seriously." Xianqing felt warm inside when he heard his sister say that. He was constantly worried about his sister while he was sick. She has truly grown up. He told his sister with relief that she had worried for nothing. Since he had decided to make money from playing games, he might often ask her questions in the future. My younger sister wanted to directly help him through the novice period, but he refused. He had received many invitations to become a professional gamer in the past. He also boasted to his sister, saying he would be in the top 1,000 in 3 months. Her younger sister obviously thought it was impossible and even asked what his profession was. He stood up and said that he would not tell his bad sister who secretly earned money for medical expenses about his profession. If he doesn't make it into the top 1,000 in the national server in 3 months, tell him then. It's not that easy for his sister to tease him. He will be begging him for help within a month. Soon it was evening. He entered the esports cabin. After being scanned by the Red Devil, he entered the game world. His location is precisely the novice village. He just logged in and received a system reward. He had slept for 58 hours straight, so his ability has been increased. Seeing this, I couldn't help but feel happy. Just by sleeping, I can improve my ability values. This is simply a sure win. He arrived at the entrance to the beginner tutorial. He remembered what his father had told him. No matter what you do, the first step must be taken seriously. He put his hand on the door of the beginner tutorial. The system prompts, "Do you want to enter the beginner tutorial?" "Yes. I want to enter." After saying that, he disappeared from the spot. He suddenly appeared in a mysterious space and began the beginner's tutorial. Attack the scarecrow after selecting a weapon. He looked at the long list of weapons and chose the ones he was most familiar with. He is a second dan in kendo in real life, and he also uses a sword when playing other games. When he selected his weapon, the scarecrow in the beginner's tutorial quickly appeared in front of him. It doesn't look very special, so he swung his sword and cut the scarecrow in two. But what he didn't expect was that after defeating the scarecrow, not only did she receive quest rewards and the title Monster Rookie, he even broke the record for the novice tutorial. He looked at him with a fierce expression. Why a simple beginner tutorial can pop up for notifications. He was also given the title of Marginal Person after he changed jobs. All rankings and nicknames can be registered anonymously. Newly obtained title Monster Rookie also brings 10% experience bonus. He looked at the option to register anonymously, secretly thinking it was a useful tool. He used his flying mount to bind himself to the player's identity, hiding his own. When my younger sister finds out I'm a great god, she will be very surprised. He seemed to see his sister holding his thigh and looking at him with admiration. When the boy received the approval of both the gods of sleep and death, 4 divine skills have awakened again. Top 1000 sprint ranking. Monthly income of 1 million. Is it difficult? Even his sister, who had been bedridden for years, easily made 30 million yuan in it. And she is among the top 1000 in Bofa. He had just finished the novice trial and left the novice village. He was teleported to a village called Dahaken. Qianswan Slime is the most famous place in Diha village, possessing a strong acid cannon that can be fired like a cannon. Absolutely not something a newbie can avoid, because Diha village has never had any outsiders visiting for years. So when Xianqing appeared, many villagers surrounded him. It instantly became lively. But when the villagers saw that Xianqing's level was only 1, they all dispersed, looking disappointed. They were all let down. Xianqing froze. After everyone left, Xianqing found the village guard, asked them about the whereabouts of monsters around here. The guard impatiently told Xianqing to just keep going straight. Right ahead is the territory of the strong acid slime. However, it's very difficult to dodge the strong acid cannon of the strong acid slime. If hit, even the hair will be melted. Xianqing didn't care. After saying goodbye to them, she quickly came to the woods. Indeed, a cute, strong acid slime suddenly appeared here. Xianqing thought this little cutie wouldn't be a threat to him. However, he didn't expect the slime to spit out a powerful acid cannon that would directly corrode the tree trunk next to him. Xianqing immediately raised his short sword and stabbed at the slime. Hit the point. It's just a matter of taking it down. Who would have thought it would be so easy? Might as well go directly to the Ouka tribe. When he inquired the guard again, the guard thought Xianqing didn't want to live anymore. Here's a shot of chicken soup for the soul to encourage Xianqing to keep striving even if he's a tough dish. He said this and took out some money from his pocket and gave it to Xianqing, treating him like a beggar. Because of the security guard's action, Xianqing unexpectedly obtained the rare title of Begging King. Looking at this title, Xianqing was also speechless. However, at the moment, he still went to find Ouka. Thus, following the giant footprints on the ground, Xianqing decided to search deeper into the forest. Suddenly, 2 European guests appeared behind her uninvited. It instantly became ferocious upon discovering humans. He raised the big hammer and slammed it hard against Xianqing. Xianqing dodged and drew his sword. A heavy blow struck directly at Ouka's head. Immediately following Tamano's nightmare, it plunged European customers into illusion and suffering. With the 5-second skill effect, amidst the flashing blades, 2 European guests were severely wounded. Finally, Zhujiao eating. A flash of blade light appeared in the air. Along with Xianqing's landing, Oak took the lunchbox. Along with Ouka's dense swarm of ash, Xianqing's rank was also raised. Just as Xianqing felt that the upgrade was too easy, dozens of European customers came to set up a stall. Xianqing is clearly in a frenzy. This is the truth that sets the stunning value. On the other side, the guard protecting Diha village was slacking off. A sudden sound came from behind. Could it be the legendary Hong Ouka? Only Xianqing walked out slowly. Shouwei Jianzhuang still remembers being beaten so badly. Did he flee in panic? Xianqing didn't refute. Directly threw a sack of Ouka's leather on the ground. Just now, I underestimated Xianqing's guards. Look at this scene. Everyone was stunned. This is truly something one shouldn't even think about. Unexpectedly, this beggar turned out to be a master. He immediately changed his previous attitude of looking down on him. She proactively told Xianqing that there was a grocery store ahead. These props can be sold. Xianqing quickly came to the grocery store, took out his red oak leather, and directly piled the counter in front of the owner. She still said in a Versailles tone, "I killed about 50 European red squirrels, and all I got were these useless furs." The boss was almost shocked out of his wits. All of these leathers are top-notch. He immediately took out a whole bag of gold coins and handed them to Xianqing. Looking at the pile of gold coins in front of him, Xianqing was dumbfounded. These coins were enough to exchange for 15,000 yuan. That is to say, in reality, he earned his annual salary in less than half an hour. Xianqing originally wanted to focus on leveling up, but he didn't expect these items, which seemed so useless in his opinion, could also make money. Thinking of this, Xianqing immediately ran out. I am going to find more red European customers to kill, with the wealth rewards. Xianqing killed the red European guest with even more zeal. Not long after, all the red Europeans here were killed. However, he was no longer satisfied with the current speed of level up and was preparing to directly find some stronger monsters to kill. But before going, Xianqing felt that she had to have an attack skill to use. So he began to allocate his remaining stat points. Now strength and explosiveness are enough. If you want to use skills, you need NP blue bar. So he allocated all his remaining stat points. He then summoned the DP shop. He now has a lot of points to redeem items and skills. First, I drew a common item. The result was an iron short sword. This is useless, but it's still good for cutting watermelon. Then he started drawing rare items. Obtained a rare red equipment display ring. Attached skill. When killing monsters with blood, there is a 10% chance to restore 10% of maximum health. This time the equipment drawn is good. So he went to draw unique equipment with full confidence. The result was unexpectedly a small flying stick. This thing is not suitable for him to use. Heroic items must be good things, right? The result of the draw is Ayalasi's failed product. Just by hearing the name, you know it's bad. Finally, the most anticipated legendary item has arrived. Xianqing was completely dumbfounded when the results came out. It is just an egg without even a description. Xianqing felt depressed. Forget it. Just consider it spending money to avoid disaster. Angry, a red European guest came to bother her. Xianqing was so angry that he punched him to death. Now that the props have been drawn, it's finally time to draw skills. Skills are different from props. He can use whatever he draws, so Xianqing drew again with anticipation. The first skill is sprinting. Good heavens, Xianqing fought back tears. The second skill, magic bullet shooting. This skill is okay. Finally, there is an active attack skill. Next is the unique skill. He obtained the Berserker's Song, which allows him to ignore all damage for 10 seconds and increases his escape speed by 50%. Xianqing has become accustomed to misfortune. Hero-level skills are always better. Siren's Temptation can use her song to seduce all nearby male players. Xianqing was furious. What is the use of this thing besides attracting hatred? All I could do was to pin my hope on the legendary skill. Thankfully, things finally turned around for me. Obtained the Death Chain skill. Can control all enemies within 30 meters. And deals 500% damage. It is a very strong crowd control skill. Meanwhile, his every move was watched by the user management group. Watching on the monitor. The team leader Wan didn't expect the development team to create this profession. Add him to the special management list. And at the highest level. However, even worse news came. Xianqing actually opened the full server. Only DP shop for him. The planner was shocked. He immediately ran to the monitor and observed Xianqing's every move. The original plan thought there was nothing wrong. After all, most people, even if they have a god-level profession, if you don't have good operating skills, it's just like putting flowers in cow dung. However, this player called Xianqing. Surprisingly, both luck and skill are online. Watching his flowing swordsmanship. Also in the top 0.1 of the entire server. There's just one odd thing. How come such a talented person is only starting to play ID now? The team leader frowned. If this continued, he could only consider manipulating the probabilities in the DP shop. However, this was not allowed. So now, the team leader could only pray that Xianqing would not draw anything good. Sure, he drew a broken tree sun. The planners were overjoyed. He could see Xianqing drawing the flawed Aylas again. The team leader was simply furious. This thing is the most important core fragment in the following missions. Unexpectedly, Xianqing drew it so easily. As for the legendary mysterious egg, even the development team doesn't remember what it is anymore. Anyway, it can't be used immediately. It should be a good thing. But when it came to the skill draw, the first few people to draw in Xianqing all drew. After shooting and singing skills, the team leader was finally relieved. Unexpectedly, Xianqing got the Deathlock mask. This is the most powerful group skill. This made the group leader sick. He then walked out listlessly, prepared to report the situation to the higher-ups. Meanwhile, Xianqing was very happy. Now he finally doesn't have to endure the pressure of dying on his bald head. He can still earn 100,000 yuan by playing games for 3 hours, and he is only level 5 now. Thinking of this, wouldn't her younger sister at level 331 earn more? To earn more money, Xianqing determined to reach level 300 within 3 months. So the fastest way to level up is to go kill mobs. Thus, Xianqing ran wildly. He came to the tribe of Ouka. After looking around, he finally found an elite monster, Ouka was sure. But he faced too many small fry. So, we had to release Siren's Temptation first, then we can consume them remotely. But unexpectedly, as Saleh's singing started, many Ouka customers excitedly rushed to Jiaoxian City. Xianqing is calm and unhurried. Directly, the ambassador used Reaper Patriarch Nian, which has area damage. In a flash, only the screams of the red European customers were heard, followed by the sound of the magnetic paint enemy. And Xianqing also finished the killing in a river of blood. Her level also rose by 7 levels. He gained DP points for warriors. A hidden map and many titles. Xianqing couldn't help but sigh at this scene. I am really awesome. The dropped items in front of me are almost endless. The next day, Xianqing returned to the Ouka tribe, but the monster did not respawn today. Thinking about the hidden dungeon map obtained here. Perhaps finishing this task will reset and refresh. Following the map's directions, Xianqing arrived at a secret passageway. Xianqing knew that what was below must be stronger than ordinary monsters. They can even use elite monster skills. However, to level up quickly, Xianqing had to go in. Soon, he arrived at a stone gate. With a shout of, "Sesame, open!" The 2,000-pound stone doors slowly creaked open. The system then popped up a notification. Enter the hidden dungeon Oakwood. Because you are the first discoverer. So you will get double experience points. Immediately, a wraith appeared in front of Xianqing. The wraith had no physical body. If skills were not used, the attack would be halved. This means that it will be very difficult for him to deal fatal damage to it with normal attacks. His death chain skill, his ultimate move, only the damage of the skill, magic bullet shooting, remains. Fortunately, there was only this one vengeful spirit. Then let's test the power of the magic bullet. Xianqing swiftly delivered a graceful half-moon slash. However, the pain is only half of what it used to be. Seeing that the vengeful spirit had already been enraged, Xianqing immediately fired a magic bullet. In an instant, a barrage of black and purple ammunition crashed down on the vengeful spirit. The key point dealt a fatal blow. Xianqing smiled faintly. Fortunately, Xianqing dodged quickly. Looking again, there was a deep pit on the ground. It's hard to imagine what would have happened if that punch had landed on Xianqing. However, this attack of the vengeful spirit. He also proactively closed the combat distance between the two. Xianqing slashed back with his sword, hitting the vengeful spirit right in the left knee. Now Xianqing has figured out the race skills and attack moves. Next is his counterattack moment. Xianqing seized the opportunity and descended from the sky, directly striking his target in the throat with an arrow. Instantly dispelled the resentment. At the same time, he also gained a lot of experience points. Just defeat them. Xianqing's level can reach level 30. He will also gain more job skills. Xianqing just hopes that he will be able to draw useful skills next time. Following the dungeon deeper into Xianqing, they finally reached the room of the mini-boss. As the gate opened, the European wizard wraith hidden inside awakened, and summoned the warrior wraith. Seeing countless resentful spirits emerge one after another, Xianqing was clearly a little panicked. What made him even more speechless? The sorcerer boss also cast a spell on the souls of many warriors. It seems there will be another bloody battle. When the boy chosen by God resigned from his position as a palace official, earning 2,500 yuan a month. The game world is filled with strong players, like Meng Fengyan. Even the planner wanted to change his data and lottery odds. But how could this stop him? How could this stop the descendant of Thanatos? He was fighting with the small boss at this moment. The boss is truly the boss. His hand movement is quicker than the blood of those on the upper level. Actually, he could have used the death scythe chain to solve it all at once. But he wanted to be safe. He is saving his ultimate move for the final boss. He used the bronze bell style. He easily killed the few small monsters. Bosses protected by small monsters. From time to time, he releases large fireballs to harass his movement. Then capture the king first to subdue the rebels. So he turned his attention to the boss. First, a handsome Lightspeed Wu Yanjian skill took care of the small monsters around the boss. Immediately after that, she solved the hand shadows of this group of small monsters. Seeing the small boss with little magic, he thought to himself. Immediately afterward, she jumped up and charged towards the boss to attack. He landed again. He defeated the wizard Ouka with just one strike. Also became his stepping stone on the road to promotion. Looking at the gold coins and items scattered all over the ground, there wasn't a single useful one. But fortunately, the level has increased. So he turned his attention to the star-red door with the big boss. He thought to himself that if he used the Death Scythe chain and Death's Rest, he should be able to finish the battle quickly. So he confidently opened the final boss's door. However, he was greeted with a message as soon as he stepped inside. Are you sure you want to go to the second basement floor of the Oak Cemetery? He finally understood that he had to defeat the strange green creature on the second floor to reach the boss's room. However, he didn't know that. At this time, his every move was being watched by the game designer Go. The game's leaders didn't care about his OP class, his incredibly lucky skills, or the items he'd obtained. They thought he was just a newly registered noob. Moreover, she is 1 year behind others, so she cannot make any waves. The only one who cares about Xianqing is Mingqi Luo, the team leader. Because the profession of Thanatos' descendant was precisely what he had set. This god-level profession is not on the same level as other god-level professions. This profession exists solely for the game's storyline. No one could have imagined that this Xianqing would charge such a high usage fee. How bored could someone be to sleep for 10,000 hours in the game world? However, Mingqi Luo did not say anything. It's not good to dwell on his plan any further. After all, he is the core technology leader of this game. Looking at the screen, Xianqing is about to reach the final boss. Moreover, your level should reach 33 after clearing the customs. Even if other divine-level professionals level up faster. It also takes a limited time of 1 week to reach level 30. And he actually did it in just 1 day. Players will also get a new skill at levels 30 and 60. Level 30 to 60 is considered a huge gap by other players. Even the planner was curious. How long will this player take to pass? He calmed himself down. After all, it was legal for him to get these rare items and skills. So it doesn't affect the game. Thinking of these things, he felt a little more balanced. But the next second, he seemed to have thought of something. Bien smirked. At this time, in a dangerous area of the game, even the top players on the leaderboard didn't dare to enter casually. Now, a very fierce battle was unfolding there. A group of people are attacking a 30-meter tall boss. It was actually the terrifying Abyss boss, One-Eyed Titan. And a blonde woman actually resisted his power fist. Then a man in armor turned himself into a human chariot and rammed into it. Boss cried out in pain and entered a berserk state. And a Lolita who is only 1.5 meters tall made everyone step back. The rest of them quickly retreated as if they had received a military order. Luo Lifei looks particularly small in front of the boss. But he didn't show any fear. He directly picked up his magic wand and chanted the spell. In an instant, mountains collapsed and the earth split. The surrounding flying stones and sand particles all converged in the sky to form a meteorite. This is the magic, Chibaku Tensei. And with the end of the Roly-style chant, a group of people carried sacks of rice up the stairs. This meteorite directly smashed into the abyssal death gaze One-Eyed Titan. The magical power blasted a 100-meter diameter pit here. The ripples caused by the impact almost made the teammates behind him lose their footing. However, what no one expected was that such a strong blow only stunned Baosi for 5 seconds. So the blonde girl rushed forward to rescue her. He instantly flashed before Luo Li's French-style face. And when she suddenly retreated, he had everyone unleash a full-scale attack. In the split second before the blackout and dizziness ended, everyone unleashed their strongest skills at this moment against the. Finally, under the concerted attack of everyone, the One-Eyed Titan was killed. Everyone joyfully celebrated the victory of the battle. Achieved amazing results. After the One-Eyed Titan's death dissipated, the exploded gold coins and rare items piled up into a small mountain. The yellow-haired girl hugged Luo Li and said in French, "Everyone has worked hard." The man in armor revealed his true face. It was a greasy middle-aged man. He said he wasn't tired at all. The one who was tired was the head of the workers' union. Luo Li, who was nestled in his arms, also smiled sweetly and said that the older man was right. It's all thanks to Ling Jiejie. The surrounding people also echoed in agreement. Besides Uncle and Ling Jiejie, who can withstand the fist of the One-Eyed Titan? The guy with the afro in the crowd said Ling's work was very good. But if Xianya were here, we could defeat the One-Eyed Titan faster. Why didn't she come? Everyone told her that Xianya was absent because she went to the hospital due to illness. They started talking about Xianya, and everyone remembered that she had mentioned wanting to get her brother into the guild. Because her brother is not unique. So I asked everyone if it was possible to make an exception. Her younger sister, Xianya, is in a guild called Hui. There are 7 members in total, including her. Union President and Mage Luo Li are legendary figures. Dashu and Xianya are heroes. The rest are unique level. The Union only selects the elite among the elite. The minimum threshold is a unique level condition, so there are not a large number of members. Xianya's brother's membership is on hold for now. The president said that his sister has reached the unique level, and he will wait until his sister reaches level 100 before inviting her to join the guild. Everyone who heard the news raised both hands in support. Then everyone entered the most exciting reward distribution session. Everyone received a fair distribution of the gold coins and items, which were as large as a small mountain. After greeting each other, everyone went about their own business. And the head of the workers' union, Lin Jie, is ready to use his own small account. Go and bring your younger sister. Getting props and idea is not a simple matter. because during the hunting process, the probability of obtaining materials is much higher than that of finished products. So many people create secondary accounts specifically for gathering materials and producing finished goods. At this time, all the small levels in Xianqing, the second level of Ouka Cemetery, have also been cleared. Behind this red door is the final boss. She had earned a lot of DP points, and now all her attributes were rested. He was about to push open the boss's room door when the system's prompt came. That is, after entering the boss room, players cannot exit the game, or use the teleportation right until they have completely defeated the boss. Are you sure you want to enter the crazy house of Karak? Yes, I'm sure. As she pushed the door open, a giant corpse came into view. This is 10 times bigger than the ultimate boss's room. Looking at the sleeping monster in front of me, it turned out to be not an ogre but an orc. But what does it matter? It will eventually become her experience points. So she drew the sword from her waist, ready to fight. However, the boss heard her voice at this moment. Immediately, she opened her fierce and violent eyes, staring intently at Xianqing Bing. Then it roared for 2 days. Just hearing its roar made Xianqing tremble with fear. Truly a final boss. Xianqing Shijian charged forward, prepared to start the decisive battle with the boss. However, to her surprise, she woke up with blurry eyes and drowsiness. She was shocked and exclaimed, "Don't you dare activate your sleepiness skill at this critical moment!" Looking at the readily available boss in front of her, she was already overwhelmed by drowsiness. Thanatos' snoring disease skill activated, forcing her into a state of sleep. When death meets the great sage equaling heaven, the bull demon king, who can leave alive? When Xianqing drew his sword, prepared to fight a decisive battle to the death with the bull demon king, it actually triggered the passive skill Thanatos Nightmare and fell asleep. Unexpectedly, the planning team watching this scene cheered and jumped with joy. However, the staff said that even if sleepwalking skills can automatically attack, so Sun Wukong couldn't pass the level so easily. The reason why the planning team leader was happy was not because Xianqing couldn't beat Tong Tian Dashin, because he knew, if Xianqing uses Death Repose and Death Chains at the same time, defeating Baosher is a piece of cake. Indeed, after 20 minutes, Xianqing, in a sleepwalking state, defeated Ne. However, Xianqing was snoring with a pile of gold coins and props in his arms. The entire planning team was watching him sleep. The planning team leader then happily told everyone the truth. That means the sleepwalking skill can only be used for fighting. After the battle ends, he will fall asleep again. The items dropped by Baosher have a time limit. He fell asleep after clearing the level. He didn't have time to pick up the items. He would be teleported out in a few minutes. At this time, Xianqing, who had just exited the gaming pod, was speechless. What kind of bullshit skill is this? But then she calmed down. Although she didn't get any of the dropped items, it was good that her level could be increased. His phone rang at that moment. It was his best friend who was inviting him to dinner. They have been good friends since junior high school. During the conversation, I learned that she is now a short video broadcaster. She gained a lot of fans through editing game videos of GNGID. Because the time difference between the game and reality is 1:5, live streaming is not possible in real time. But editing highlights and behind-the-scenes footage of the game is very popular with netizens. He plans to open such a self-media company after the political change. The fledgling government, facing a staffing shortage, sought out Xianqing, who had recently resigned from his job. Xianqing told Zaihuan that she planned to make money within the idea, reaching level 30 in Xianqing in just 1 day. And it was still a god-level profession. He gulped down the drink to suppress his surprise. Then she stood up and invited Xianqing to record a video together. He told Xianqing not to underestimate this, because making a video, as long as it's good enough, can earn you almost 100,000 yuan. And the income of the anchors he collaborated with in the last month of short videos is conservatively estimated at 600,000. Hearing this number, Xianqing's face immediately changed. He then asked where the contract exchange was, and then, with a fierce expression, he asked again. He actually took out a ballpoint pen and was about to sign the contract directly. How awesome is this teenager recognized by the god of death? Just raise my arm once. Thousands of chains of death descended from the face, and the monster sucked and rolled. Even lying down to sleep, they could still seize enemy phones. If these were made into videos and posted online for everyone to see, how much of a sensation would it cause? Xianqing has already agreed to cooperate with Zaihuan. Recording a video is very simple. Just shout, "Record video," when logging into the game, and the system will automatically start recording. When you exit the game, just change the video. Xianqing generously offered to change the management account again. Then the profit is divided equally, 55 for each. Xianqing trusts Zaihuan very much because it was Zaihuan who took care of his younger sister when she was sick. He used his own saved tuition fees to help him. Xianya can go to the hospital for treatment. His decision is final and cannot be changed. At the same time, Huanzi was also thinking about his school days. He was fat and strong, so he was bullied and ostracized by his classmates every day. Xianqing was the only one who was willing to be truly friends with him. If Xianqing had not appeared in his world like sunshine, I wonder what kind of gloom filled his student days. At this time, he looked at Xianqing, who invited him to change places and continue drinking, secretly determined. How could it be divided equally? Just taking 10% is enough. No. I will give you everything even if I don't have a penny. When Xianqing returned home, he started fiddling with his gaming pod. It took half an hour to find the USB interface above. After putting the USB flash drive on it, suddenly Kai Danlon appeared in front of him. He clicked the copy video button according to the instructions of his teacher. Then his recent series of battle videos appeared. He chose the last battle video with Pingtian Dashing Numuang as the material. I was surprised to find that the video actually has a beauty filter function. After operating it for a while, he sent it back again. After receiving the replacement, she immediately opened her computer and started looking at it. But when he saw Xianqing with a black face, he couldn't help but laugh. However, Xianqing's fighting style against the elite monsters was a bit unbelievable to him. His movements and techniques are smooth and flowing. No editing or special processing is needed. He eagerly searched for Xianqing and the battle that led to his violent death. But he was even more shocked when he saw this. Xianqing started sleeping halfway through the fight. However, when Xianqing stood up again, his aura was completely different. The attacking style is also different from before. The fighting scenes were clean and crisp, with every move and strike. Every frame is a beautiful scene, like a painting. Jinja rang zai huan de zuiba zhang de gung de nai jiushi Xianqing dui baosi de zihuiji. Even through the screen, it makes Zai Huan's blood run cold. He gently raised his small hand. Thousands of chains instantly swept across Baoshi's entire body. The controlled monster was also killed by Xianqing with one arrow. As Xianqing gracefully landed, Baosu also shed tears while eating. Zai Huan looked at this scene and couldn't help but say something. This is too awesome. This man can easily earn $1 million by playing games for an hour every day. This is a game that programmers especially like to play. She was shocked after watching the game battle videos Xianqing sent to her. Immediately sent a message to Xianqing. This video of yours is awesome. Is this a humanly possible operation? What skill did you use when you dealt fatal damage? Xianqing woke up and saw the news. He didn't understand why it was so difficult to change his reaction again. He learned this from him when he called to ask for a replacement. His video is so awesome. Even the top player in the national server can't make such a video. After receiving permission from Xianqing, she then stated that she would have her employees work overtime to edit the video. After hanging up the phone, she knew her chance had come. Immediately sent this news to the company's large group. Have you all watched the video? The protagonist of the video is my good buddy. From now on, we will be responsible for all his videos. The people in the group suddenly felt that the company had a bright future, even able to rank among the top leaders. This video is so wonderful. And our company also has exclusive authorization. Seeing the employees' reactions, I decided to improve my editing skills to make the most of such great footage. Meanwhile, Xianqing was having breakfast with her younger sister, Xianya. Her sister was very curious about her job level. Xianqing told her younger sister to keep it a secret for now, but it's definitely above the only level, otherwise he wouldn't have resigned. Xianya heard this and thought, my brother is at least unique level, so he meets the requirements for joining the guild. If he doesn't want to join, I won't force him. His union chairman's sister reached level 60 from level 52 in just one day yesterday. Although she had Lin Jiajia's help, this level up speed is still very fast for the only player at this level. Xianya also wanted to help her brother, so she asked him about his current game level. When Xianya learned from her brother that he had reached level 30, this made Xianya think her brother was lying to her. He reached level 30 in just one day. I've never heard of anyone who could do that. And my brother accidentally turned around when he was at level 1. This made Xianya wonder who exactly her brother was. His leveling speed was so fast. After eating, Xianya immediately logged into her ID and looked at a bunch of system emails she received while offline. This made Xianqing's head big. Why isn't there a one-click claim and one-click poison function? So he decided to first confirm the items he picked up after defeating the boss. Just as he was looking forward to obtaining heaven-defying tools and a considerable amount of gold coins, However, he found that his belongings had been still for a long time. Is it because of the hidden dungeon pickup? So it was hidden? So he flipped through the system messages at the back with a question in his mind. Because it is a sleep skill, Ming has already slept for 40 hours. All aspects of ability values have been improved. When Xianqing saw the news below, he was immediately stunned. That was the notification he received after defeating the boss in his sleep. Please collect the props as soon as possible. The dungeon has been cleared. You will be transported to a nearby village. Seeing these messages, Xianqing was immediately discouraged because he had indeed been in the village when he first logged into the game. So have all the props disappeared? Just how overpowered is this young man? He easily reached the top 3 in his uncle's game simply by sleeping. He woke up today, opened the status bar and checked his current attributes. Xianqing realized he only needed to increase his stats slightly more. You can use Ayalasi's failed work. And he also acquired a new skill, Tenachosi de Manhwa. After successful casting, it deals 300% damage to the enemy. And it doesn't consume mana. Xianqing was very happy with the newly acquired attack skill and exclaimed that it was truly a god-level skill. It can be used after it cools down without being consumed. But the next second, he thought that he had missed the reward of the hidden boss, which might contain new skills. He immediately ran out again in a flash. He arrived in Aokebulo like a god of death, and the Aoks were all intimidated by his aura. This human yelled at them to hand over the hidden dungeon map quickly. After defeating all the small monsters nearby, he found the original hidden entrance had disappeared. Seeing this scene, Xianqing lost her composure. He burst into laughter. When he returned to the village, the villagers found him behaving so strangely that they thought he was insane. The guards, upon seeing his insane act, decided not to make him pay back the money. However, Xianqing's self-regulation ability is very strong. After all, being alive is good enough. If you die while fighting the boss, not only will you be downgraded, and she will also be restricted from logging into the game for 24 hours. He then adjusted his stats. Saved up for so long, almost enough to open Ayla's failed work. So Xianqing, as instructed, fitted him onto the sword. In a flash, it merged with his original long sword. Looking at the sword strengthened by the sweeping runes, Xianqing sighed. So amazing. His attack is stronger now. This item can double the weapon's attack power. Xianqing put away his sword and opened the dungeon interface, looking for a new hunting ground. The difficulty of the Lihi scene in the hunting grounds from level 70 to 80 is just above Diha village. Then let's go here. Xianqing used the teleportation ticket. Lima was immediately teleported to the central square of Lihi village. There are clearly many more players here than in Diha village. Someone shouted information about various requests to buy and sell props. And there are also scammers who set up stalls here year-round selling colorless crystals. Some people are still here asking for teammates. Xianqing didn't want to talk to these strangers. Then immediately went alone to Lakin's cave. But when he entered the scene, the system, however, prompted him that he could not enter. Because his team has fewer than 3 people. So he returned to the central square and stood watching for a while. Immediately, like those who were just shouting, they yelled, looking for teammates to form a group to go to the cave in Lycan. First class second, this young man was invited by a girl to team up and level up because she thought he was a high-level god. After joining, it turned out his level was only 35. Will he be kicked out? Just now, Xianqing shouted to find teammates to go to the lair of Lycan. It just so happened that his younger sister Xianyao's labor union was holding a small trumpet divination here. He wants to take his younger sister to the Lycan cave. The team was still missing one person, and they were worried about it. Xianqing shouting in the central square was found. However, he saw that Xianqing seemed to be a newbie, unexpectedly going to such a high difficulty instance. Could it be a smurf account of some high-level player? So they decided to invite Xianqing to go with them, forming a team of 3. They introduced themselves to each other first. Lin asked when Xianqing planned to hunt. He and his sister have been looking for fixed teammates. If they plan to hunt for a long time, they can let Xianqing join them. Because the dungeons in Lihi village around level 100 require a team of 3 to enter. Lin observed Xianqing and felt that his level should be around 70 to 80. He is not a high-level player's alt account. However, his and his younger sister's ranks are lower than Xianqing's. They are afraid that Xianqing will look down on them. Xianqing said that his level was also very low. But it doesn't matter. They decided to team up, fighting monsters and leveling up together. Lin's younger sister, Rayan, is a dual sword wielder known for her speed. Fearing Xianqing couldn't keep up with their hunting speed, Lin decided to build an underground city here. Change Ryan's impetuous habit. After texting his sister, They agreed to leave together. Xianqing plans to buy a new sword before his departure. After getting permission, he dashed out of the city like a streak of lightning. Watching Xianqing's rapidly disappearing back, I thought to myself, how can his speed be faster than that of a level 80 player? My mind raced. Maybe Xianqing possesses the sword's sense of speed, which would explain their rapid hunting speed. When Xianqing returned, Lin looked at the sword on Xianqing's waist. It hadn't changed at all. Is it that he hasn't found a sword he likes? But he didn't know that Xianqing bought a good sword. Because it included Ailiz's failed work, there was no change in appearance. It can increase weapon attack power by 2 times. At least it can take down level 120 monsters. Then Lin took Xianqing to the coffee shop. Found my younger sister who had been waiting here for a long time. She is a yellow-haired girl with a dashing and heroic appearance. Xianqing looked at her and thought she was very young. Even much younger than her younger sister Xianya. They are not high-level players, but they want to go to Laken's cave. This shows that they are very strong. The older sister, whose name is Lin, is very familiar with the surroundings. She is currently using her alternate character. After a brief introduction and conversation, Ryan said that she and her sister were in lower grades and hoped that Xianqing wouldn't mind. However, in terms of strength, the two of them will not hold anyone back. Xianqing looked at Ruin, whose tone was cold, and told her that his level was also very low. The two sisters in front of her. The cold younger sister constantly went into level up, while the older sister's personality was the exact opposite of hers. This reminded her of herself and her younger sister Xianya. Their personalities are completely different. Now she has already thought that it won't be long before she can fall in love with Xianya like their sisters. At this time, Lin told Xianqing to invite her to the team first. After a little adjustment, they would depart. Xianqing agreed. Lina, the player, sent an invitation. At this moment, Xianqing received a notification. Lina, the player, invites you to join the team. Do you agree? Yes. I agree, but after Xianqing joins the team, the two sisters stared in astonishment. Xianqing was puzzled. He looked up. I didn't expect to join the team. Shows her own skills. This made the two sisters speechless. Such a low level. It seems they will carry this level 35 noob. Kulin thought that the speed this person had just displayed was not like the speed possessed by a level 35. So her professional level was at least heroic. However, even if she was a hero, it was impossible to have the explosive power of level 80 at level 35. Is the man in front of me a high-ranking professional? Is it legendary? So Lin made up his mind. Must team up with Xianqing in front of me. Xianqing was conflicted at this moment. He had finally found a teammate. Could he be kicked out? Then we'll have to find another dungeon. However, to his surprise, Lin did not kick him out of the team, but felt that he so wanted to come to Chap the cave. Then his strength must not be too bad. Instead of wasting time looking for other people, why not do it with Xianqing? Let's go right away. The boy who awakened a divine occupation and the sisters. We teamed up to level up, but she treated me like a newbie because I was a lower level. Not only did they let him enter the dungeon first to scout, but they also wanted him to draw fire. His elder sister felt that he was too snobbish when she heard this. After all, in the idea, as long as the team enters the dungeon, unless the entire army is annihilated. Otherwise, it is not allowed to mourn in the martial arts. Therefore, some players take advantage of this. When his teammate was in crisis, he stubbornly refused to help. Finally, enjoy the dead teammate's items and experience points alone. Facing his older sister's scolding, Rayan didn't feel the slightest bit disrespectful and even shamelessly said that this was the most reasonable solution. However, what surprised the two sisters was that Xianqing actually agreed to Ryan's request to draw fire. Also said to team up for hunting. He first showed off his skills. Listening to Xianqing do say so, if I stop him at this time, it will be equivalent to looking down on his strength. Therefore, he didn't speak anymore, watching Xianqing charge ahead into the dungeon. As Xianqing entered, the game system's prompt came. You have entered the lair of Laken. No players have entered the dungeon for a long time, so the starving monsters enter an awakened state. Their power has increased by 20%. All experience points gained within the 5-day game time will be increased by 50%. Seeing the buffs and bonuses appear, everyone was happy. Xianqing calmly opened the video recording function. He chose the mask he had set. It instantly covered Xianqing's face. Monster roars soon came. Xianqing immediately entered a state of alert. Then she stretched and decided to do a simple warm-up exercise. The monster that appeared before him was the Haiganglang, a tiring monster with terrifying attack power. The black steel wolf lunged at Xianqing. Xianqing calmly met him with his sword in hand. Seeing this, Lin and Rian were shocked. Xianqing didn't dodge at all, instead choosing to face the attack head-on. He didn't even draw his sword. Rian thought Xianqing was about to die, and he felt that what he had just said might have been too harsh. However, what they didn't expect was that in the next second, Xianqing, upon approaching the black steel wolf, drew his long sword. It spread across the black steel wolf at an unbelievable speed. This shocked the two sisters. Xianqing's attack was easy to exploit. Was this kind of attack real? Watching Xianqing effortlessly fight Haiganglang from a distance, the two sisters, immersed in the picturesque fight scene, were unaware that a skill that would overturn their perception was unfolding before their eyes. Only to see Xianqing cast the Thanatos Dream Song, a purple orb condensed above the black steel wolf's head. Following Xianqing's guidance, he directly entered the mind of Haiganglang. A flash of purple lightning engulfed the monster. The next second, she knelt directly in front of Xianqing. As the explosion echoed, Haiganglang transformed into a stunning quality. And Xianqing's hairstyle wasn't even messed up at this time. Rian and Lin, the two sisters, couldn't believe that a level 35 man could be so terrifying. The series of actions were swift and decisive from beginning to end. It's hard to believe even if you see it with your own eyes. Even if he used the skill. It also requires players' control to successfully kill. Rian asked Lin, somewhat dazedly. Sister Lin, who is this person? Can a normal player do what he did? Lin said she didn't know. And he was also thinking. If I were to use my main account to deal with this monster, can you control it as decisively as he does? It must be difficult. Xianqing's control is more than just outstanding, it's practically art. He resolved to bring Xianqing into his heroes' guild. Xianqing, who had finished the battle by this time, also understood through this battle how powerful Thanatos' Dream Snatch was and how to easily kill high-level monsters. It also showed his strength to both of them. Xianqing felt that this time, she shouldn't be disliked anymore. Then Xianqing smiled at the sisters. Little sister, can we team up now? Let's go together to hunt those monsters that have fallen into darkness. This gamer is regarded as a noob by the girl. Surprisingly, she single-handedly cleared all the monsters in the dungeon. This made the sisters' eyes go wide. Could this be a hunk? While Rian was dealing with the missing black steel wolf, Xianqing stared at him, entranced. Because the twin swords look really good. It can also be used as a shield. It can also deal double damage to the opponent, while making quick sword strikes. It is not only highly practical, but also very cool in appearance. This made Xianqing also want to change his weapon to dual swords. After careful consideration, he decided to use his proficient long sword. Under the worshipping gazes of the two sisters, Xianqing enjoys the fun of teaming up to fight monsters. He excitedly went deep into the forest to continue hunting. Lin's heroic guild is only known to the heads of a few top-ranked guilds. There is a small but powerful guild. With only 7 members, they conquered a large territory. At the Hero Guild headquarters, the legendary magic of the labor union is Shan and I is boringly dozing off. Her teammates were either on missions or spending time with their families in the real world. Lin Jiejia also created a small account to level up her sister. This made her wonder if she should also raise a small account. Just then, the magic light in the room really brightened up. Shani is happy because someone has connected. The one who came was Xianya, greeting her happily. Shani rushed forward and hugged Xianya, then asked her if she had just come back from the hospital. Xianya helplessly said that her brother had recently resigned. Now she stays home all day, so I can only take her to the hospital when she plays games. So I'm extremely busy. They quickly prepared a table full of delicious food. Shani asked Xianya why her brother suddenly resigned from his company. She told Shani that her brother had encountered a good career opportunity while he was in the 11th grade, so he resigned. This surprised Shan and I because her brother worked at S Electronics, a leading company. The treatment is good, so what profession did Xianya switch to? Xianya said she didn't know either, but it can be confirmed that he is at least a hero level. Otherwise, given her brother's personality, he wouldn't dare to resign from such a big company easily. In this way, it won't be long before her brother can join the trade union. This made Shan and I very curious about Xianya's strength. Although this was not in the membership requirements, after all, everyone else in the guild was excellent. If the skill is very poor, then it definitely depends on the colors of other members. And Lin Jiejia's younger sister seems to be very strong too. Xianya was not worried at all after hearing this because her brother was level 1 at the time. He switched to a profession above the hero level and reached level 30 in less than a day. Shani was surprised. How could it be upgraded so fast? Could it be that Xianya is joking with you? But Xianya understands her own brother. Won't use this kind of thing to talk. Then Shani can be sure to do it. He is undoubtedly talented. Otherwise, it's absolutely impossible. She might even be stronger than their president, Lin Jiajia. Xianya felt that this was a bit of an exaggeration. So Shan and I decided. He sent a voice message to Lin, who was on his small account, waiting for his sister. Lin on the other end of the phone was fuming with Xianya. The noise continued. There was no time to spare for Shani at the moment. He just gave a few quick replies. He hung up the call, saying he would get in touch later. The man changed his job to become a rare divine mechanic. But she was regarded as a fool by the twin sisters she was grouped with in the first phase. They could enter the dungeon together, but they found the man they underestimated. Facing hordes of monsters, he charged forward alone. A casual magic bullet attack knocked down a large group of powerful monsters. Using his long sword, he fought and moved among them. But there are too many monsters. We can't solve them all at once. Another group of monsters surrounded me. Xianqing directly released Thanatos Fantasy. Instantly plunged all the monsters into a nightmare state. Then he waved. He sent 11 black wolves inside to eat. It became his experience points. This made him very dissatisfied. He hadn't leveled up. Could it be that the divine machine profession required not 5 digits but 10 times that? The twin sisters who arrived at this time. He simply can't keep up with Xianqing's hunting speed. Upon seeing Xianqing, she began to gasp for breath, making a wheezing sound. Xianqing saw it and thought he might have been too fast, not taking his teammates into consideration. So he suggested taking a break. The sisters were burdened with this responsibility, but then they began to feel unbalanced. One is the president of the union, the other is a level 40 player. Xianqing actually underestimated her. But they were so physically exhausted that they disregarded Xianqing's opinion of them and lay down on the ground to rest. After all, we are going to challenge the elite monster soon. Kashian's city took advantage of their rest time. Unexpectedly, she started practicing sword techniques, moving nimbly and swiftly. It's simply unstoppable. The sisters saw this and immediately felt that Xianqing was working so hard. That's why he is so strong. His younger sister even said that if she wants to become as strong as him, she needs to do the same. Then he would rather abandon his friend. The two sisters turned over and continued to rest, deciding not to watch Xianqing anymore. Out of sight, out of mind. But then again, could Xianqing be hinting that they can't continue resting? Hurry up and leave. Is Xianqing angry? Lin Dun suddenly burst into tears. If Xianqing is really angry. So the plan to have him join her guild went down the drain. At this moment, Xianqing was completely unaware of their thoughts, and was still practicing on his own. Because this is a game world. So actions that cannot be made in reality. Everything can be achieved here. While performing a high difficulty action in Xianqing, he received a prompt warning. Your HP decreased due to an unreasonable physical action. This means doing so will put a strain on your body. When Xianqing decided to continue practicing, the sisters got up and told him they had rested well. Now we can continue our journey. Xianqing said. It's okay, you can rest a little longer. The sisters thought Xianqing was putting on an act. She even hurt herself to hint them to get up. They decided to rest after the hunt. If they continued resting, Xianqing would definitely continue to practice her swordsmanship. Xianqing, the foolish one, had no idea what Liang's sisters were thinking. He said he would slow down. Unsurprisingly, on the following road, the Liang sisters felt that Xianqing's speed. They can both keep up. But the next second, both of them widened their eyes in surprise. Xianqing was actually running and waving his sword. Liang's sister suddenly felt that Xianqing should be annoyed that they were too slow. So she got angry. Previously, when they played dungeons together, the younger sister always complained about the older sister's slow speed. She decided to talk to Kijieto about the money later. Jiejia also thinks that compared to Xianqing, her younger sister is still very kind. Xianqing still didn't know what the two behind him were up to. He was still practicing his sword moves, swinging his sword like he did just now. My speed will become faster. The man awakened the Knight of the Bone Shaking, Golden God level, and he took the hilarious sisters with him to upgrade crazily. But her endurance made the sisters a little overwhelmed. So Xianqing, in order to let them also have a gaming experience, she decided to take on the elite monsters herself, leaving the remaining monsters to her sisters. Although they knew that Xianqing was well-intentioned, it was still very tiring to keep running behind him. But on second thought, maybe I will invite her to join my guild later. They must not underestimate Xianqing. Sister took out the broadsword. Mei Mei took out her dual swords. He immediately assumed a fighting stance. This scene made the elite monster, Hey Gang Lang leader, burst out laughing. How ridiculous! A few weak humans dare to intrude into my territory! Then he immediately used his power to attack Xianqing. Xianqing dodged the Hai Gang Wolf's fatal attack with mesmerizing movements. And during Black Steel Wolf's attack, it hit Hai Gang Lang's arm. The pained Black Steel Wolf immediately launched a counterattack. Xianqing also jumped back at this time to create some distance between them. Then, a magic bullet attack formed immediately. It hit the Black Steel Wolf squarely in the face. This made the Black Steel Wolf fall into a rage, shouting that she wanted to kill Xianqing. Xianqing laughed and said it was ridiculous. She had always wanted to kill herself. The Black Steel Wolf, mocked, furiously attacked Xianqing again. Xianqing also made a weapon towards the Black Steel Wolf at this time. However, it was easily blocked by Hai Gang Lang's iron claws. Just when he thought Xianqing was nothing special, Xianqing shot an arrow through his body. Before the monster could react, it immediately connected to Thanatos' dream song. The electric light and fire killed the Black Steel Wolf leader. It has become the experience value of Xian City. As the prompt for level up appeared, Xianqing only felt very bored, so she decided to check out the fighting style of the two sisters. At this time, Ryan was fighting several Black Steel Wolves. Looking at the extremely fast Ryan, Xianqing increasingly likes double swords. However, in terms of accuracy and agility, Lin still has the upper hand. Xianqing felt that both of them were quite capable. However, while watching Lin's fight, I always felt that his movements would sometimes pause for a moment. Although I don't know why, it feels unnatural. If this point can be improved, control will definitely be enhanced a lot. This is all because Lin's trumpet skills are so low that he has some difficulty controlling it. He noticed Xianqing observing them. In order to invite Xianqing to join the labor union, I must show my true strength. But this alt account is really too weak. As a group of small monsters became their experience, the two sisters were so tired that they sat on the ground. They felt that they could finally rest now. After all, they not only defeated elite monsters but also many other monsters. Also, the team doesn't have a healer. A long battle does require a break. But just at that moment, Xianqing's gloomy voice came again, asking if they wanted to rest. This made the sisters feel fear at the same time. Seeing the sisters didn't say anything, Xianqing also thoughtfully let them rest for a while before continuing. The two sisters thought, will Xianqing start practicing sword moves again? Usually, other people combine work and rest. Xian City is really going all out. However, whether it is from a positive or negative perspective, we have to admire Xian City's strength. What the two sisters did not expect was, Xianqing actually sat down directly in front of them. He said he would take a rest too. But just at this moment, Thanatos' somnolence skill activates. He will be forced into sleep. Xianqing felt something was wrong upon receiving the notification. Looking at the two sisters in front of me, Xianqing reluctantly closed his eyes slowly. Even struggling, he couldn't resist the skill's activation. Then he fell asleep in the team. In the real world, Xianqing, who had just exited the esports capsule, only felt sorry for the two sisters. I can only go this far. Maybe I am too attached to experience. Therefore, he was punished. However, after Meng Youjing's skill is activated, the AI will continue to suffer the refining process for Xianqing. At least it won't cause trouble for the sisters. Karahoing Gai Hen Nan Zai Jiao De Yole. Xianqing Jud Hai Shi Ziji Yidren Dizi Shili. More suitable for myself. Two sisters in the game world. He had no idea that Xianqing had already logged out of the game. Now the person in charge is AI. Xianqing looked like he was asleep. Lin felt that it was normal for him to be tired after hunting so hard just now. He felt Xianqing had a touch of humanity. Kehuayin Gang Luo, Xianqing Soda Yi Xia Zhan Qishin. This made the sisters jump. The puzzled twin sisters looked at Xianqing in disbelief. After all, they had only rested for less than a minute. At this time, Xianqing was unable to remove his dreamwalking political skill before entering the Tongguan underground city. The sisters looked at Xianqing in surprise as he turned and left. They ran towards the monster in the distance. The two sisters confirmed it again and again. Indeed, they only rested for a minute. There was no other way, so they could only follow closely behind. The man awoke to a night of godlike power, yet he felt a lonely sorrow. That is the Thanatos hypersomnia that could occur at any time. He will fall asleep regardless of the situation. The sisters who leveled up with him didn't care about these things at all. They found Xianqing defeated monsters one by one. He even doesn't pick up dropped items. Mingning used to always pick it up in Xianqing before. Could it be that the inventory is full? So they decided to pick it up temporarily and have Xianqing keep it. After all, This small favor is a piece of cake for them. But while they were collecting props, they even found a rare level prop. They knew that Xianxing had also hunted down the elite monster, which made them very puzzled. Usually, even if they threw away other junk items, they would still pick up rare ones, wouldn't they? The two sisters decided to ask Xianxing these questions later. For now, the important thing was to catch up with him. But the two of them had been playing for 10 hours. Long periods of gaming left them exhausted. Even the system sent an anti-addiction reminder. The two sisters continued walking forward with weary steps. The sound of upgrade kept ringing in their ears. They know that the level is still rising because Xianxing has not stopped hunting. They had never seen a man who was so determined. But right at that moment, Ryan discovered something. Shouting loudly, "Jejia, look over there." Lin also looked at the scene not far away. This surprised him very much. Xianxing unexpectedly came alone to the door of the room where the explosion occurred. He was about to push the door open. They didn't expect to reach the bursting point after just one day, because it normally takes 2 to 3 days in real time. The two sisters were secretly delighted at having broken the record. Kay discovered that Xianxing had not paid them any attention. Someone reached out and held the door of the room. Lin hurriedly apologized, saying that they were late and had made him wait for so long. Jiang Xianxing did not respond. Lin thought Jiang Xianxing might be angry, so he told him that he had picked up the dropped item for him. He had not finished speaking when a system notification came. All team members have assembled. After entering the Baosha room and before completely defeating Baosha, players cannot quit the game or use teleport scrolls. Are you sure you want to enter the Soulless Wolf Salves' room? This prompt made the two sisters panic. They hurriedly called out to Xianxing. Wait, because they planned to rest for a while. If we go in now, we'll probably die for nothing. Unexpectedly, the prompt came again. Xianxing, the temporary captain, had already opened the door to the explosion room. The Soulless Wolf service had awakened. Please note. Due to Tyrant Overlord having not been defeated for a long time. Therefore, it will be even stronger. If you defeat the Soulless Wolf Shelvis, the experience points and drop rate will be doubled. Lin, upon hearing this prompt, thought, so what if it's doubled? They'll die anyway. Xianxing, holding a sword, slowly walked into the room where the explosion had occurred. The two sisters looked at her back and guessed. Is Xianxing preparing to solo a boss to death? If only she hadn't opened the door just now. Xianxing is still angry about what Rayan said before. Meanwhile, Xianxing in the real world was completely unaware. After clearing the dungeon, AI will no longer control the body, it will run smoothly. If the sisters see her like this, is it estimated that it will be difficult to see her again? Moreover, this area was originally difficult to block. Therefore, Xianxing decided to find a place where he could hunt alone while he was quitting the game. Just then, she called him again. Tell Xianxing that I stayed up for 2 nights to make the video for her. He also praised Xianxing's unique fighting style, a calm and upright character in a world of fleeting moments, suitable for creating night-style character settings. However, these are all combat videos after the AI took over the body. When I was in Huanyi, I first heard that AI could help people hunt. So, when Huanbian decided to edit Xianxing, she put a black mask on her. When AI plays on her behalf, it wears a white mask. Xianxing opened the combat video that Saihuan sent her. He saw the battle. She couldn't help but sigh. Is this really me? Lanren awakened the god-level knight that tens of thousands of people yearn for. But she has the skill to sleep anywhere, anytime. That is Thanatos' sleep tester. In the game, she will be forced into a sleep state and her body will be taken over by AI. However, her teammates, the twin sisters, had no idea. The members in front of them are run by AI. He then followed her into the room where the person had died suddenly. The ferocious and strong leader ridiculed a few such low-level humans. Are you coming to her territory to upgrade or to deliver takeout? The words had barely left his mouth when the werewolf leader lunged at the 3 of them. Her speed made Lin and Ryan instantly despair because their current exhausted physical condition simply could not cope with the powerful werewolf leader. Could it be that they were going to die here like this? With a loud clang, the 2 sisters thought that Xianxing was dead. Unexpectedly, Xianxing blocked the werewolf's attack with his sword. At this moment, the sisters looked at her back, feeling that Xianxing was like a god of war. But in the next second, Xianxing was knocked away by the werewolf's brute force, and crashed hard into the wall 30 meters away. Seeing that Xianxing was under attack, the 2 sisters immediately took up their weapons and assumed a combat stance. They decided that even if they died, they would still do something for Xianxing. But what they didn't expect was, suddenly several magic bullet mirrors flew out from behind them, directly attacking the werewolf's hands. After hitting the werewolf, Infuriating boss, they dared to use such a low-level trick to attack her. Did they take her for a fool? She decided to eliminate Xianqing first. He then immediately rushed past the two sisters and cried towards Xianqing. Just as it was about to hit Xianqing, Xianqing jumped up at an incredible angle and dodged the fatal blow. She, who had just landed, swung her sword at the boss's back. The pained werewolf immediately turned around to retaliate. This paw, if it landed on Xianqing's body, certain death or crippling injury. Xianqing, however, parried her claw with his sword. The werewolf in front of him was shocked that such a frail human being could have such great strength. Frozen for a moment, Xianqing stepped on her shoulder. He then leaped into the air and landed on the ground. The werewolf could not fathom Xianqing's agility. The sisters were stunned. They marveled at how Xianqing had just changed his attack trajectory by stepping on the werewolf's shoulders. She also dodged the werewolf's attack. This picturesque battle scene, even described as art, feels like an understatement. But what surprised them even more was yet to come. The moment the werewolf charged at Xianqing again, Xianqing didn't even bother to dodge, but snapped her fingers crisply at the werewolf. The werewolf suddenly felt something inside him. What's going on? I can't move. This is Xianqing's skill, Thanatos' nightmare. Causes an enemy hit by a critical hit to fall into a 10-second coma. The next second, Xianqing raised his sword and struck, without any hesitation. Deliver the lost soul of the Selvi's leader and lunchbox. Men possess unparalleled supernatural powers. But the sisters were mistaken for little caramels while playing dungeons. But it was at this time that Xianqing showed its great strength. Thanatos' narcolepsy quietly began. The sleeping Xianqing was taken over by AI, leveling up crazily with my two sisters. Even beat Baoxi into retreat. But what he didn't expect was, the supposedly dead Baoshi directly entered a berserk state. Could this sudden death still could not gain the upper hand? Xianqing's movement was perfect. He dodged all the attacks that could have killed him instantly. Even the twin sisters couldn't help but praise Xianqing's wonderful movement technique. Not only did she successfully dodge the attack, but she also found a chance to attack. Looking at Xianqing's heroic posture before their eyes, they finally came to their senses. This was a true great god. Xianqing, who was expected to continue hiding, unexpectedly chose not to avoid it this time. Instead, he quickly stepped forward and chose to attack. The two sisters watched him. His speed was like a sword that had left its scabbard, simply incredible. Is this achievable by normal people? He has strong control skills and his skills are simple and unpretentious. Even the fighting style is extremely straightforward and efficient. This made Lin even more determined to bring Xianqing into his hero's guild. Facing the attack of Xianqing, the werewolf used his speed advantage to dodge Xianqing's attack. He wanted to exhaust Xianqing's physical strength before dealing with this troublesome human. However, what surprised him was that Xianqing suddenly stopped in his tracks and no longer pursued him. The werewolf was confused about what he was doing. He gently raised his small hand, directly released the skill, the Piece of Death. This skill instantly attached itself to the werewolf. He is now confused about why he can't move at all. Fell into a 1-minute sleep state. Moreover, the damage to him will increase by 2 times within a minute. Immediately after that, Xianqing no longer stayed. He released the chains of death. The next second, countless chains pierced through the werewolf's body. The werewolf howled in pain. Even though his voice was loud, no matter how tragic, it still turned into Xianqing's stunning value. As the notification of defeating the violent dead echoed, there was also an upgrade notification around Xianqing. The clearance reward also appeared at this time. As teammates, the sisters also leveled up a lot. Xianqing's current level has reached 50. He also completed the exclusive task, the after-transport of Timantis. However, at this time, something even more surprising happened to the sisters. Xianqing, the great player who cleared the game by himself. He even lay down on the ground and started snoring. Looking at Xianqing sleeping soundly, the two sisters were very confused. Could it be that she was too tired and fell asleep? But thinking about it, it made sense. After all, she basically completed the vice ministerial level alone. So the two sisters decided to help Xianqing put away the props that had been exposed first. The sisters then became anxious. What about Xianqing, who was sleeping here? We can't leave Xianqing here. Sending her back to the hotel would be too rude. Seems like I'm discarded when I'm no longer useful. The man awakened the strongest god-level profession in the game. GM, however, only wanted her to spend money like crazy. He monitored Xianqing 25 hours a day. When Xianqing reached level 53, GM nervously picked up the phone. Because when Xianqing reaches level 75, she will undergo her second awakening. Silu immediately called the game's chief planner after the three princesses left. What the GM didn't expect was, the planner is currently dealing with a thorny issue. That's because Xianqing's profession mission was generated. An ancient city appeared near the imperial city. The empire's ruler, the iron-blooded monarch, will not spare Gu Qing. He will definitely dispatch an investigation team to Gu Qing. The problem now is Xianqing. He needs to reach the ancient city before the investigation team, otherwise it's going to be a big deal. However, Xianqing is now suffering from Thanatos' hypersomnia. He was snoring in the game world. If he had to wait for his hypersomnia to end, it would take at least 35 hours. This made GM Jihu, who had hung up the phone, in a difficult position. Because this iron-fisted monarch, Kalong, is cruel and brutal, many players are thrown into dungeons for 100 years just for saying the wrong thing. This is because players often complain about overcoming difficulties. Now GM can only hope that he does not value this ancient city. So Xianqing only needs to get there before the investigation team. There will be no problem if there's no mistake. But if there's a mistake, something terrible will happen. If the iron-blooded monarch himself makes a move, then the monster Xiaolong sealed there will awaken. A long time ago, Xiaolong was sealed by Thanatos' messenger. Currently, no entertainers in the national server can guarantee victory. Even top-tier teams risk being wiped out. If the iron-blooded monarch can slay the evil dragon, then it doesn't matter. But if she fails, the evil dragon will ravage the empire. GM only hopes he can provide the ceremony, otherwise there will be a large number of Chinese server players complaining. Just then, GM suddenly thought of someone. If Xianqing is already a Wusher-level player, there is a female player who also possesses a Thanatos-related profession. Although it's only a legend-ranked entity, its strength is exceptional. Although the tasks may be different, the ultimate goal should be to go to this ancient city. GM can only hope that Xianqing and he can work together to stop the revival of Xiaolong. Otherwise, his year-end bonus will definitely be ruined. However, at this time, in the Imperial Palace, this man, known as the Iron-Blooded Monarch, the king who never oppressed the people, for some unknown reason, became the target of public criticism. Long confined to the solitary palace, he was tired of the crocodile flattery from those around him. Just want to meet an interesting soul. Upon learning of an ancient city nearby, I was curious but not very eager to go. Because as soon as he leaves the palace, the ministers and his subordinates will search for him everywhere, making it known throughout the city. So to relieve his boredom, he ordered his subordinates to hold a competition, open to anyone. Also, make the reward more generous. Although I can't personally fight, it must be interesting to watch others fight with enthusiasm. If one or two more interesting people appear, that would be wonderful. So the king decreed. If the winner is one of the nation's children, then join the royal service immediately and send a treasure from the royal treasury as a gift. The traveler is the player. When the king thinks of the traveler, he immediately becomes serious because they are all greedy. Only a few people are exceptions. Fine. Then a reward from the royal treasury. And another wish granted. It would be interesting if the winner's wish surprised him. This so-called imperial fighting tournament. This is the most solemn celebration of the national service. Many players became famous here. And today, because of a random thought from an NPC, it is about to begin. The man created an invincible god-level profession in the game. But in reality, he was left with nothing but leaks. This is because he was studying how to solve Thanatos somnolence. I saw a message online. That is seeing the advertisement for the training class, which uses practical swordsmanship in the promotion of IDA. After the IDA game matured, a series of industrial chains appeared in the real world. Various professional skills also became popular courses. Xianqing also heard that the physical condition in reality will also bring different degrees of influence to the control in the game. So Xianqing decided to enroll in a course to improve himself. First, she signed up for a gym class. He then signed up for a practical training class on swords, spears, and firearms. When he arrived at the entrance of the practical class, Xianqing did not expect it to be so shabby. But when the teacher opened the door, Xianqing noticed the muscles on this teacher. Absolutely not trained by eating protein powder. But it relies on countless practices. Combat-ready muscles that can only be forged. Xianqing immediately swept everything away, thinking in his heart that he had not come to the wrong place. He then told the teacher that he came to learn martial arts. The teacher praised him for having good taste. Let Xianqing go into the room with him. After entering, the display in the room made Xianqing's eyes brighten. There were swords of various materials, and there were also various weapons that only appeared in games. Xianqing also noticed that although the room was not large, the ceiling was high. Waving his sword or saber will not affect him in the slightest. just as Xianqing was looking left and right. But in the next second, the teacher asked him to take off the curtain. Xianqing looked at the teacher in front of him. He didn't know when, but she had already picked up a long spear. Let's discuss this with Xianqing first. Xianqing took off his hat. Obedience is better than politeness. Then she also chose one from the shelf behind her. His most proficient long sword. Immediately, he swung his sword in place to warm up. The teacher saw Xianqing's swirling sword. Even someone who had studied kendo rarely could do that. Such a clean and decisive action. This made him certain Xianqing was very talented and had put in a lot of effort. After warming up, the sparring began. Xianqing ran towards the teacher with a sword, and the teacher calmly raised his spear to fight. This time, Xianqing faced the attack, and with a wave of his hand, he deflected the spear attack. What he did not expect was a simple clash of ice blades sent a tingling numbness to his wrists. Even the long sword hummed. The teacher secretly sighed. Xianqing's strength was not bad, because that attack just now, if it were a novice, the hand holding the sword could not be lifted. Kashian City not only took it, but also rushed towards him. A spear has the advantage of attack range, so Xianqing could only shorten the distance with him. Xianqing's attack was cunning. He has seen all of this. Sees the gap, a double ring sweep attack, on Xianqing's lap. While Xianqing's figure is unstable and about to collapse, the teacher took advantage of his illness to kill him. Li Ma, a dragon king, immediately thrust towards Xianqing. However, what was unexpected was that Xianqing, with his extremely tricky body movements, dodged the teacher's attack. At the same time, another straight stab to the heart aimed at the teacher. The teacher hurriedly jumped up to dodge. Xianqing also stood firm. He was panting heavily. After all, he hadn't exercised in a long time. He felt a little bit exhausted. The teacher thought Xianqing in front of him was malleable. He thought he only had a little foundation. Unexpectedly, his swordsmanship is so advanced. Then asked Xianqing, his swordsmanship no longer needs to be known, only needs to improve physical strength. So what do you want to learn here? Xianqing said he wanted to train his left hand to use weapons while he could control his right-hand sword. This made the teacher a little curious about Xianqing's occupation. However, he did not inquire further. He turned around and searched for a weapon, asking Xianqing if he wanted to try the dagger. Watching the teacher sharpen the knife for 8 minutes. The way he turned around, with a long sword in his right hand and a short sword in his left, caught Xianqing's eye. This is exactly the style he wanted. Then the teacher demonstrated in front of him. The long sword is used as the main attack. Short sword used as a handhold. Strike them with both swords early and precisely, giving the enemy a fatal blow. And when necessary, he can throw the short sword. It is not easy to land a blow on the enemy. This allowed Xianqing to be on the offensive or defensive. Both have been greatly improved. The teacher told him to study here for a while. It's easy to learn. Let's start now. The man just snored in front of the sisters. Thus obtained countless gold, silver, treasures, and precious items. Because he has the descendant of the god-level profession Thanatos. So others have to grind for a month to level up 3 times. And he can level up 10 times just by sleeping. The more you sleep, the faster you rise. Kashian City showed its strength before falling asleep. Completely impressed guild leader A Ling, the hero had to make Xianqing a member of his team. But all this equipment should be given to Xianqing. I don't know when we will be able to meet. The 2 sisters looked at Xianqing, who was fast asleep on the floor, and fell into deep thought. Decided to wait a little longer. Maybe she will wake up soon. But after waiting for 61 minutes, the 2 sisters gradually lost their patience. Ryan suddenly lunged at the sleeping Xianqing. He shook him wildly and shouted, "Wake up, old lady!" Kashian City showed no reaction. He was still snoring when a window popped up. The English player Xianqing fell into a deep sleep. To automatically exit the game, the next login will appear in the nearest village. Then Xianqing disappeared in front of the sisters. At this moment, she made up her mind to find Xianqing no matter what. After all, Xianqing is highly skilled. When her video is uploaded, it will definitely be a big hit. Then track her down through the video. Wait for the next encounter. We must invite her to join the union. Xianqing in the real world has just finished a day of training. I opened my computer and saw the forum post. Everyone is talking about the sudden appearance of an ancient city in Vinia. Players have formed an investigation team, planning to explore this place. Xianqing knew this place, after all, when choosing the location for the upgrade, the city near the ancient city. The beautiful scenery left a deep impression on her. However, Xianqing didn't care too much. Because she wants to improve herself now. Xianqing decided that one day he would defeat her. So she immediately went to her ID to practice her new moves. After being scanned by Red Devil. System prompt. Player Xianqing. Are you sure you want to enter the ID? That's right. I'm certain that Xianqing suddenly appeared in the central square of Lihe village. Immediately, countless message notifications popped up in front of her. Xianqing checked it and turned them off. It was still noisy around her. Everyone was shouting their demands. A player who collected colorless essences quickly caught the attention of Xianqing. Some useless props can be sold to players, which is much more cost-effective than selling them to the shop. After tidying up the miscellaneous goods, Xianqing gained 50,000 gold coins, which is about 30,000 yuan. Just when Xianqing was happy, suddenly saw the message list pop up. That is the already generated exclusive quest for Descendants of Thanatos. She knew this was a story plot exclusive to high-level professions, but she didn't expect it to appear so soon. What is a god-level exclusive mission like? Then Xianqing shouted, "Mission coming!" And the exclusive task bar popped up, completely different from the ordinary one. After careful review, it was found that the mission level is S+, finding Thanatos Messenger. If the mission fails, the punishment is demotion to level 1. This made Xianqing think of what he had just seen on the forum. If the investigation team arrives before him, then he will directly fail the mission. Then he will be demoted to the first level. Cause suddenly Xianqing realized something was wrong. Was it a drop of 1 level, or from level 53 to level 1? Is this task a word game? Cause Suiho Xianqing Turan Xiangdao Ruguaren Wu Qinggong Le Dehua. You can then obtain a miracle skill. And there are also divine tools. Money-obsessed Xianqing immediately decided to find the first level, and find Thanatos Messenger to complete the task. When the son of death meets the daughter of death, what kind of sparks will the collision of Thanatos' profession create? At this time, Xianqing arrived at Lihe Square. Moreover, Xianqing discovered that the investigation team was recruiting members. This made him relieved, thinking that he had to reach the ancient city one step ahead of them. But he suddenly realized that others looked at him with disdain. He even mocked him, calling him a beggar, asking why he came to such a place. Xianqing looked at the other person, who was wearing expensive equipment. Suddenly I felt that being mocked was also normal. With his newbie equipment, he looked like a bumpkin here. However, considering that there might be a conflict with the investigation team in the future, it is necessary to buy some defensive equipment. After all, this time it's not a one-on-one battle against the monster, but a battle against players from the investigation team. Xianqing then went to the stationery store and bought a set of equipment. When he came out again, he was completely transformed. Indeed, clothes make the man. But he got excited. This ordinary grade equipment cost him nearly 10,000 yuan. After getting ready, Xianqing immediately got up and went to the ancient city. Because intelligence reveals the location of the ancient city. Further than imagined, even riding a horse to the ancient city. It takes at least more than 3 in-game days. You can only walk to Xianqing. Compared to the large investigation team, it's faster to act alone. Xianqing, at this moment, thought about completing the task. The divine items and skills obtained. He was overjoyed. However, in the city of Venice, the NPC leader of this place is actually in cahoots with the guild leader. To fulfill the task assigned by King Tai Shui Junju, the NPC gave the Superman Guild Master an Iron Blood Monarch Guild Master. He can be put in charge of the investigation team. With this thing in hand, regardless of whether it's a top expert, a great master, or a guild group, they will all be at his beck and call. 3 days later, Superhuman Guild Investigation Team Application Office. Many players come here to receive quests. After obtaining authorization from the Superman Guild, the investigation task appears in the player's task bar. Just when the player who was responsible for releasing the task was bored, the sound of high heels suddenly echoed loudly. Following the sound, he was immediately struck by a dazzling sight. A cold and glamorous woman with jet black hair walked towards the task reception. The face feature in idea will refer to real people for a 100% restoration. In other words, she must be a great beauty in real life. This made the dispatcher's eyes shine. He asked the beauty in front of him a few more questions. What is your profession? What level are you? What is your name? This made the girl feel very disgusted. Because the people who registered before her only asked about the level. Why did he ask for her name? He decided to come down from afar for the mission. Han Shuya, a level 110 mage. The dispatcher instantly turned into a fighting spirit and said, "Her name is so beautiful. She needs to be assigned a good seat." The girl ignored her and accepted the quest. He left directly, while the dispatcher was still staring blankly. Xianqing has already come before her. Looking at Xianqing, she is only level 53. And he was wearing a mask. After giving her the task, tell her to get lost immediately. Xianqing joined the investigation team because he was lost. He had wasted time, so he might as well join the investigation team early. But what she didn't know was, she is being watched by everyone, every move she makes, every plan she makes, every big decision she makes. Everyone is cheering for the two Thanatos players. Regret missing it. After all, it was so close. If they join forces, the matter can be resolved quickly. However, if they use the death chain, they can immediately recognize each other's related professions. It's fate that we meet here. Then the planner opened their respective career quests. The task is different. Xianqing's task is to find the ruins. Shuya's task is to prevent the revival of Shalom. Although I have a bad feeling, I still double-check the plan. I hope nothing unexpected happens. Man awakened the hidden god-level profession in the game. He mistook him for Xia Kalami. It's simply because he was dissatisfied with the way Xianqing spoke to him. Xianqing finds everything unpleasant during the mission. After all, he is just a low-level noob. He dares to look himself in the eye. This arrogant person must be taught a lesson. Immediately after that, he received a message from the president, which was to order others to conduct a search. Then sneak into the ancient city with him, and pick up all the good stuff. Although this is a good opportunity, Huang Mao knows that once a mistake occurs, the president will definitely take all the responsibility. Besides, I haven't seen Han Shuya. It made Huang Mao feel even worse. He then turned back and glared fiercely at Xianqing, preparing to vent his anger on the masked Karami later. Xianqing is not a fool. He saw the yellow-haired man who kept glaring at him and figured he would make a move that night. So Xianqing decided if he dared to make a move, then he must be made aware that she is not to be trifled with. It was evening. The captain let everyone rest here for 3 hours of real-world time. Xianqing was depressed about why she had to rest for so long. After all, it was 15 hours in the game world. At night, Xianqing, who was sitting by the bonfire, received a notification. You are on a professional exclusive mission. Before you find the first trace, Thanatos' trial sleep certificate will be sealed. Watch the task prompt. Xianqing thought to himself that this time he wouldn't have to worry about falling asleep in the middle of the task. But before that, a problem needs to be solved. He decided to lead Huang Mao to the forest. I am not in the forest near Xianqing. Huang Mao immediately followed. He didn't expect that Xianqing would take his own life. After following for a while, Huang Mao raised his sword, ready to ambush Xianqing. Just as he was about to strike, Huang Mao heard the sound of chains rattling. Could it be Xianqing's skill? But he thought to himself, what skills could a low-level cook have? But when he saw Xianqing turn his head, his eyes were filled with surprise and disbelief. Moreover, Xianqing did not have any chains in his hands. Where did the sound come from? Just when he was puzzled, dark pink chains instantly pierced his body. This is the death chain. Xianqing looked puzzled. Who else has this skill? But his death chain also seems a little different. As the system's punishment sounded, Huang Mao fell into a coma. Huang Mao then took the lunchbox and received a penalty of 24 hours of game access. At this moment, a burst of clear high-heeled sounds rang out. A woman with cold smoke appeared before Xianqing. This person is Han Shuya, who is in the same profession as him. Xianqing looked at the woman in front of him. My mind was still pondering what had just happened. He can use the death chains, so his profession must be related to Thanatos. Moreover, the death chains is a legendary skill. Therefore, this woman is at least a legendary class professional. When they met for the first time, Han Shuya chatted with him for a while. It means to send Xianqing to a safe place with people. Unexpectedly, Xianqing directly declined his offer, and said goodbye and left. Because Xianqing cannot be sure that the woman in front of him is Di Shiyu, so she does not intend to disclose her information. Han Shuya looked at Xianqing's departing back, but had an indescribable sense of familiarity, and there was a strange feeling of being defeated by him. However, the game planning team was blown away when they saw this scene. Xianqing is so straightforward. Their professions are related. Why not cooperate? The man became a god-level profession that everyone coveted in the game. Huashin Shulua launched a malicious PK against the player, just because Han Shuya protected him last night. Used death chains to kill Chu Ba. After logging out of the game upon death, Chu Ba immediately called his guild leader. Even the labor union's chat group went into an uproar because of this. Everyone wanted to teach this masked person a lesson. Xianqing was unaware of the danger. He wanted to disappear before Han Shuya realized they had the same profession. At this moment, the exploration team suddenly asked everyone to gather immediately. Depart for the ancient city. This makes people not understand. After all, many people haven't had time to log into the game. Xianqing heard the news and understood. This was Huang Mao's death. This raised the vigilance of these people in the labor union. The guild leader of Transcendent Artificial Intelligence has also logged into the game. He searched for the man with a mask in the crowd. Soon, he found Xianqing in the crowd. After all, there were so many people. Only he was wearing a mask. This time, he decided to avenge Huang Mao and complete the mission with the investigation team. No variables like Xianqing are allowed to exist. At this time, Han Shuya looked at her career mission: prevent the dragon's slaying resurrection. The task prompt didn't tell him how to do it. If it was to kill the dragon, he can give his all, but the task doesn't require that. This made Han Shuya grumble about the unkindness of the mission, but there was one thing he could be sure of. That is, no one is allowed to enter Guqing. Right at this moment, he suddenly discovered. The person leading the way kept looking at Xianqing. He doesn't understand why the president of the Superhuman Association has been monitoring him. Shuya is somewhat blaming herself for the low-level mistakes she made. It must have been Huang Mao who contacted him. But he can't let Xianqing notice the safety issue. Because I don't have any Xianqing friends, I can't send whispers. It was unexpected that Xianqing became the target of the guild because of him. And judging from his equipment, he's at most level 100 or so. Even if I knew about this matter, I could only be fish on someone else's chopping board. So Shuya decided to secretly protect Xianqing. After all, it was because of her that he was in danger. And Xianqing will definitely be very grateful that he saved him twice. When the exploration team took a break, Xianqing looked at the members of the Super Artificial Intelligence Guild. Xianqing is very unhappy that someone is always eyeing him covetously. So blatantly monitoring herself. Was it on purpose? So Xianqing entered the small woods again. The Super Artificial Union also followed him immediately. Xianqing, who was running, realized that those chasing him were not that strong. He deliberately slowed down but still couldn't catch up. After a while, Xianqing stopped. Several people urged Xianqing to reveal his accomplice's location and promised him a quick death. Xianqing knew they were talking about Shuya. But he didn't pay any attention, just grinned. Then Xianqing drew his sword from his waist. He wanted to take this opportunity to try it out. PvP. Instantly, she charged towards the group. Thanatos' nightmare skill activated. The first person hadn't reacted yet. Xianqing slit his throat. The two people behind him were also injured by Xianqing. Xianqing was surprised to find that it didn't take several lives. Truly a high-level player. High defense. Shui Huanho. At this time, everyone also discovered Xianqing's skill characteristics. That is, suffering a fatal injury will enter an abnormal state. Xianqing drew his sword, his strength evident in the crowd. He gradually adapted to the new swordsmanship he had learned, and also to the PvP combat style. Looking at the crowd surrounding him, Xianqing found that all these people were thieves. Their weapons were all laced with poison, and he was also hiding a hidden weapon in his left hand. Xianqing blocked the dagger attack with his long sword. He didn't understand why the thief wasn't attacked from behind. Instead, they chose to attack head-on, which was simply asking for humiliation. Then Xianqing Changjian waved his hand and sent the player in front of him to be eliminated. Unexpectedly, after killing a player, he actually got 3 DP points that can be used for lottery draw. This made Xianqing discover a way to make money. Hunting players occasionally is also a good choice. In this way, these little gourd brothers are like their grandfather. Xianqing sent each of them to get a lunchbox. Even the magician who has been chanting spells in the distance. He was also caught off guard by the magic bullet condensed by Xianqing. In these people's eyes, Xianqing is like a bloodthirsty Shura. And Xianqing was constantly enjoying the pleasure of gaining DP. The man was instantly promoted to a god-level profession that controlled life and death in the game. He was turned into a small piece of trash, easily manipulated by the fleeting pleasures of gaming. When he saw that Xianqing had only used 10 moves, killed several strong guild members, he finally understood that Xianqing was a true master. Last time I entered the grove, it was also to lure the enemy. And I even shamelessly said I would protect him. However, he discovered that Xianqing was not intentionally PKING. But he had noticed they were going to harm him, so he lured them to the small forest and wiped them out. Xianqing is sweeping the battlefield at this time. He was completely unaware that someone was watching his every move. He found that the Union members dropped a map after he killed them. And it's even a map of the ancient city in the mission. Xianqing did not expect such a windfall. He did not understand why such important things were generally kept by the president of the labor union. Why would this happen to these few Kalami? Xianqing decided not to think about it too much. After all, this was a good thing for him. With the map, he didn't need to follow the investigation team, so he decisively abandoned the mission. Free from the constraints of the investigation team, Xianqing decided to go offline and rest for a while, so he went offline and disappeared from the game world. Han Shuya didn't know what Xianqing's purpose was. However, she planned to wait here for Xianqing to come online and see what he was going to do. After an hour, Xianqing logged in and followed the map's guidance to the ancient city. He also took care of the monsters he encountered along the way. Facing the attack of high-level monsters, Xianqing was impatient to deal with them. Casting Thanatos' dream song right from the start put these monsters into a frozen state. Then, with a flick of his wrist, the sword descended, turning these oblivious monsters into the stunning finger of Xian City. Xianqing is thinking while running. Now, Benghui's president should know that the map is in his hands. He will definitely ambush and shoot people on the road. At this moment, Xianqing sensed that someone was following him. He looked around but found nothing unusual. He then felt he was too sensitive, and continued running toward the ancient city. At that moment, Han Shuya stared at the receding Xianqing, thinking, the skill he just used was too strong. Because hunting a magical beast of that level takes at least 10 minutes, Xianqing killed them in just a few seconds as a side job. Moreover, his control is amazing. The most threatening skill is the Black Lightning. Han Shuya guessed Xianqing must have a legendary level job. Such outstanding control, coupled with her extraordinary swordsmanship. After I make my mark, I will definitely recruit Xianqing nigh. As he followed her all the way, he was surprised to find Xianqing's movement techniques are not only strange, and his attack method was also unheard of. Even more incredibly for Han Shuya, Xianqing's item retrieval speed was even faster than their killing speed. He had never seen a player who impressed him so much. However, what Xianqing didn't know was that the members of the Super AI Guild decided to get their revenge. Let Xianqing, the masked one, know the consequences of provoking the Lu Chao Artificial Intelligence Guild. Xianqing was still on the road, searching for the entrance to the ancient city. Found traces of others having passed by on the road. He was certain this was a special operations team organized by the Super Artificial Intelligence Association, and at least 10 people had come specifically to round him up. Xianqing thought. Then bring it on. After all, PvP videos are also very popular. Shortly after, Xianqing encountered the special operations team of the Super Artificial Guild, and all of their levels were above 150. It is even possible to have level 200 players. After observation, it was found that these were the people who had been around the president before. They are most likely the backbone of the Chaoran Guild. Xianqing slowly drew the pacia from his waist. He walked towards these so-called core members of the Super Artificial Intelligence Union with murderous intent. This game's newbie slaughtered the entire Chaoran Guild overnight. He defeated players whose levels were 100 or more levels higher than his. Also obtained the legendary title, where rank is just a number. It seems that in front of absolute European kings of luck, no matter how high your level is, it's just a number. After Xianqing experienced the thrill of hunting players, he couldn't stop. And the 5-member assault team responsible for defeating Xianqing in the distance were also curious about this fledgling Xianqing. However, for these top-tier players, the previous guild members' words were not credible. On the contrary, it is likely a lie made up by the defeated person who felt they had lost face. Suddenly, a loud bang came from afar. Along with this, all 5 players fell into a charmed abnormal state. Before the 5 of them could react, Xianqing had already issued them an order to run towards him within 10 seconds. As soon as the words were spoken, the 5 players found themselves running uncontrollably. All skills and equipment were disabled. And not far away, Xianqing, wearing a mask, also performed a whirlwind 5-strike combo. Each strike eliminated a child, dealing a fatal blow to them. Still trapped in terrifying hallucinations, 5 players were furious. Wanting to rush towards Xianqing, she was struck by black-purple lightning from behind. Then it disappeared into thin air. Because he defeated too many players who were over 100 levels above him in one go. Therefore, Xianqing received the legendary title, which is only a number in terms of level. And this title also brought him a buff of 20% attack power increase and 30% experience increase. Just as they dealt with the 5, Xianqing keenly sensed something amiss. A closer look revealed that the 5 people on the next shift had arrived. And among them, the president of the Superhuman Guild, Lanyo, was actually there. Things are starting to get interesting. Xianqing decided to play with them. Therefore, they preemptively attacked Lanyo's forces. Instantly, Leno and others became extremely nervous. They entered combat mode. Xianqing, however, acted like a coward and began to provoke Reynolds constantly, yet deliberately didn't show up. to keep the 5 of them permanently in combat mode and unable to log out of the game. After a few rounds, Leno was almost mad. He looked up at the sky and laughed loudly, challenging Xianxing to come out and face death. Unexpectedly, Xianxing actually responded to him. He slowly walked out of the operating room. But just as the 5 were about to rush forward and kill Xianxing, but they were struck by black-purple lightning and collectively rolled their eyes. Uncontrollably drooled. Then it vanished into thin air. Now Xianxing finally felt relieved. Lanyo was dead. It seems they won't be able to log into the game to bother him for another 5 days. But now Xianxing has set his sights on Han Shuya as his only obstacle. He had always thought that woman was not simple, so he was a little worried. Xianxing was about to log out of the game and take a break after a fierce battle. While having dinner, her younger sister mentioned to Xianxing that their guild's spirit master had suddenly begun a rapid hunting mode. This tired him to death. But because of a misfortune turning into a blessing, he was also promoted 3 levels in 1 day. My sister also invited Xianxing to join her guild. Unexpectedly, Xianxing refused. Only because he felt that his level was not high enough, and his strength was not strong enough. He joined the union and held his sister back. This is a classic example of showing off. After dinner, Xianxing came to the computer. Start thinking about which movie to send to Zaihuan. The video of Leno, the guild leader, being killed would have been more interesting to watch. However, Leno couldn't handle the pressure, and it ended too boringly. After careful consideration, Xianxing finally chose that video and sent it to Zaihuan. Who could have known it would bring unexpected trouble? Her younger sister originally wanted to invite Xianxing to join her elite guild. Take good care of this newbie brother who just entered the game world. But he didn't know that Xianxing was single-handedly. That would be the #1 guild in the Menpai game. Xuanxing refused his sister's invitation, saying his level was too low. She turned around and came to the gym, sweating profusely. Suddenly he saw a message coming out of the treadmill. The Ancient City Investigation Team, formed by the Superhuman Guild. Originally, this investigation team attracted many players to participate. Unexpectedly, all members of the Super Artificial Intelligence Guild disappeared overnight. This made the majority of players very angry. They thought that Chaoran Guild, as the leader of the investigation team, did not shoulder the responsibility of leading the users. He even deliberately left others behind. Now players are very angry, feeling that the actions of Chaoran Guild are simply fraud. After seeing this news, Xianxing was very apologetic. Actually, this matter was also closely related to him. Only he knew that the Chaoran Guild didn't intentionally abandon everyone, but they were all faced with a situation beyond their control. This is for the best though. The Super Artificial Intelligence Guild was already infamous. After this incident, the Super Artificial Intelligence Guild has been severely damaged. It's unlikely he will ever be triumphant again. But compared to the Superhuman Guild, the mysterious woman named Han Shuya was of even greater concern to Xianxing. Fortunately, Han Shuya should still be in the investigation team, and has not arrived in the ancient city. Now Xianxing has decided that no matter what, she must be ahead of everyone else. Be the first person to reach the ancient city. On the other side, Huan watched the videos sent by Xianxing and was amazed. Xianxing, after putting on the mask, is completely different from the knight style he had before. Though crude yet effective. Coupled with this overwhelming violence, it will definitely go viral as soon as it's released. No time to think. The magic customer led his team, preparing to work overtime all night to edit the film. At this time, Xianxing found a personal trainer, preparing to further improve his strength. Actually, in the coach's eyes, Xuanxing is definitely an exceptional talent. Not only natural athleticism, but also an incredible learning speed. Plus, his determined gaze, like that of a soldier, made the coach think that Xianxing was a monster. Even now, he finds it somewhat difficult to fight against Xianxing. He had never met anyone as troublesome as Xianxing before. Xianxing parried the coach's spear thrust with his long sword. He instantly attacked with the short sword in his left hand at overwhelming speed. This switching speed is so fast. Xianxing accidentally tore the web between his thumb and forefinger from gripping his sword without noticing. Only when she saw the blood all over her hands did she suddenly realize. However, Xianxing, this monster, unexpectedly found this actual combat extremely interesting. This scared the coach. Especially when Xianxing said he would come again tomorrow. The coach's face was covered in sweat. He quickly waved his hand and said, "My hand was torn open, I need to rest for a while." Xianxing felt it was unnecessary. Wouldn't this allow for faster growth? In the evening, Xianxing was having barbecue with his sister and aunt. He was troubled by his nickname on the online platform. He came to ask his sister's opinion, but in order to avoid being discovered by her, Xianxing could only say he was asking on behalf of someone else. That person has two completely different fighting styles. Based on her characteristics, her sister thought of the nickname, Ashura. The legend states that Ashura is half male and half female, so it suits people who have two styles. Xuanxing also thought this name was very imposing. He happily decided to name him Axi Luo. He can log into the game after he finishes dinner. He was about to go to the ancient city as soon as possible, but someone called him. Xianxing looked back. It was no other than. It was Han Shuya, the person he feared the most. And Han Shuya came up and warned Xianxing. He cannot go to the ancient city. This man earns more than 10,000 yuan a day by playing games. He actually leaked the purchase of a female player in the game. They talked about their sweet love. Do you envy this kind of life? Han Shuya hiding in the dark. He happened to see Xianxing with his bare hands, extinguishing the scene of the server's #1 guild. Could not help but exclaim in admiration. Unexpectedly, Xianxing not only operates excellently, but also possesses equally strong skills. Moreover, Han Shuya speculated that Xianxing's professional level should be very high. While thinking, many people who came to seek revenge appeared in the distance. Still calling Xuanxing's name, Han Shuya took a closer look and saw that it was no one else. It is Leno, the president of the Superhuman Guild. At this time, Lino was furious but could not find Xianxing. He could only look up to the sky, laugh loudly, and curse Xianxing for not being a man. Suddenly, there was a loud bang in the sky. Jing Lei made a shining entrance. In the blink of an eye, Leno and the others were all electrocuted. Han Shuya was stunned. This skill, no matter how many times he saw it, still made his skin crawl. When he turned back, Xianxing had already logged out of the game without a care. You are right. It is time to rest in the real world. Besides, the guild has been destroyed, so Xianxing doesn't have anything to worry about. However, Han Shuya became increasingly curious about Xianxing. Stay put and wait. When will Xianxing come back? It turned out that he waited for 3 days and 3 nights. This made Lian, who didn't dare to sleep even a minute longer. Han Shuya almost stayed up all night. Finally, she didn't know how long it had been. Xuanxing came online again. Han Shuya stormed up to Xianxing in a fit of rage. He yelled at him that he couldn't go to the ancient city. Xianxing was stunned. Han Shuya, since when did she start following him? Could it be that the gap in their ranks was too great for her to notice? However, Han Shuya didn't seem like his enemy, otherwise he would have been dead long ago. That is to say, he still has a chance to negotiate with Han Shuya. But Xianxing still feels that he should be careful. Because being an all-rounder is more important than dropping a rank, that's something he absolutely cannot give up. At this moment, Han Shuya was also making a small calculation in her heart. She couldn't tell whether Xuanxing was a foe or a roommate. This made the game planner, who was monitoring them 24/7 off-site, extremely anxious. Their tasks are so similar, yet neither of them is willing to speak up. It's really a waste of effort. Xuanxing asked Han Shuya why he couldn't enter the ancient city. Unsure of how to respond, Han Shuya could only lie and say that his mission was to prevent everyone from entering the ancient city. Unexpectedly, this is really showing off in front of Guangong. It turns out Xianxing had already known his mission content. So he deliberately talked about the dead dragon Aquilier and the death god Thanos. Han Shuya, exposed, was at a loss. Xianxing, however, was very proud. When Han Shuya saved him before, she had already exposed herself. He even showed Han Shuya the real death chain in person. Han Shuya was stunned. Only one person can get this skill, which is a legendary profession. Could Xianxing have the ability to replicate skills? Xianxing also did not explain. However, according to what he knew, Thanos is the strongest god in the game idea, so it is not surprising that he has 2 legendary classes. Moreover, he also has this map. This can be used as evidence that he was carrying out his task, and he had no ill intentions toward Han Shuya. On the contrary, I am very grateful for his help. Seeing Xianxing being so sincere, Han Shuya had to tell the truth. Xianxing was told that his real mission was to prevent the resurrection of the dead dragon. Now their tasks are almost the same. Plus they are both descendants of Thanos, having the same skill system. Han Shuya finally could vent to someone who understood her. After a lot of gossip, their relationship blossomed rapidly. Xianxing also felt that Han Shuya was not manipulative but rather a little naive. So he formally introduced himself to Han Shuya and took off his mask. Unexpectedly, Han Shuya fell for Xianxing's handsome face almost instantly. This face is too much of a foul. And she also possesses such formidable strength. It's simply perfect and flawless. He then agreed to Xianxing's proposal to go to the ancient city together. Running in the middle of the journey, Han Shuya still couldn't help but look in Xianxing's direction. A fawn startled in her heart. Xianxing also seized the opportunity. He sent a friend request to Han Shuya. Sweet love is here, isn't it? This young man unexpectedly discovered a hidden dungeon in the game. Facing the several hundred-meter tall dead dragon, Xianxing looked as small as an ant. I thought I was going to die today. But she didn't expect that a chair would appear in front of her in the next second. The secret to clearing the most challenging dungeon in Tongguan is actually to make a body. Xuanxing and Han Shuya finally arrived outside the ancient city. At this moment, both of them had been running continuously for 25 hours. Han Shuya was too tired to speak, but Xuanxing was still full of energy. This made Han Shuya marvel at how strong this young man was. However, an unexpected situation occurred when they were about to enter the ancient city. Han Shuya, who was originally only given the task of preventing the death dragon from resurrecting, is now being prohibited from entering by the system. While Xianxing could easily enter, Han Shuya was stunned. But he quickly came to his senses. Perhaps the ancient city only came into being because of Xianxing. So he quickly accepted this setting. He also kindly reminded Xianxing to be careful all the way to the ancient city. I will wait for him outside. Unexpectedly, faced with such a passionate confession from a beautiful female player, Xianxing, the straight steel man, only had the dungeon on his mind. She went in without looking back. Later, Han Shuya thought more and more. Simply unleash this anger in my heart. It was vented on the people near the ancient city. A saint's skill. The man in black instantly rose into the air, transforming into a sexy little devil. Death grip strike again. A multitude of dark figures surrounded all those who approached the ancient city. They were all killed without mercy. Do you think Han Shuya thinks he's too cool right now? He was actually so embarrassed by the second-rate incantation he had just chanted that he got goosebumps. On the other side, Xianxing also finally found the dead dragon Aquilier in the ancient city. According to Xianxing's estimation, the dead dragon in front of him was at least 100 meters tall, and just yawned slightly. A sandstorm swept across the ground, forcing Xianxing to retreat step by step. The most terrifying thought is, from the moment Xianxing first discovered the dead dragon, triggered the reward of +5 to all stats. It shows how strong the dead dragon in front is. If this could kill him, he might directly reach max level. Just when Xianxing thought he couldn't avoid a showdown with the dead dragon, a set of chairs suddenly appeared in front of him. The written exam has officially begun. Xianxing Meng. Why do we have to take a test to run this instance? And the written test questions also made him feel like death. Surprisingly, there's not a single one he can write. It's all about the stories written about this game. This made him, who had been obsessed with leveling up and never did the main quest, completely dumbfounded. However, Xianxing is very confident. He believes in his own strength. I have already been prepared to accept this period of time, focusing only on leveling up. As the exam time ended, Xianxing, as expected, got a 0. The system also issued a prompt. Because Xianxing did not answer seriously, he will accept the most difficult challenge. That is to survive the attack of the death dragon, Aquilier, within an hour. Hearing this prompt, Silong completely awakened. He had red eyes. A claw struck towards where Xianxing was. The speed was so fast that Xianxing was completely panicked. If he had been 1 second slower, he would have been mashed into a pulp. And then the dead dragon let out a roar. This made Xianxing tremble uncontrollably. The ensuing shockwave. It leaves nothing but bare ground wherever it goes. To face this formidable foe, Xuanxing put all his gear back to boost his movement speed. She used up all her hard-earned ability points and health potions. The fierce battle with the death dragon began. Unexpectedly, that sly old dog Silong could still breathe fire. And his skills were ineffective even against the death dragon fist. This is ridiculous. Xianxing is devastated. Even began to doubt if the planner really wanted players to clear this dungeon. Xuanxing, in a fit of rage, simply resorted to a literally flying dagger. Switched to physical attacks. The result was unexpected. This physical attack is actually effective against the dead dragon. He turned on the recording and put on the mask. Wake up, it's hunting time. A newbie who just started playing this game 3 days ago is fighting monsters. Jian Jianju Beijio Riru Guowan. The game planner had never seen such a lucky player, keeping an eye on his every move. At this moment, Xianxing was being set as the strongest dead dragon in Shouren. The planner was completely dumbfounded. This dead dragon was something their planning team had painstakingly worked on for 3 days and 3 nights. If Xianxing defeats him, The whole game will fall into chaos. At this moment, Sehua was staring intently at the screen, hoping that Xianxing would lose this match. Unexpectedly, Xianxing dodged Silong's flame attack. The temptation of the lotus flower begins. The death dragon, although not inflicted with any abnormal status, experienced a momentary lapse. Even the junior staff under the planning department couldn't help but praise Xianxing's quick response. What would make them even more astonished is, the death dragon, originally set to be immune to all magic damage, was unexpectedly found to have a weakness by Xianxing. Now Xianxing is completely fed up. He picked up the short sword and slingshot in his hands. This is a physical attack against the dead dragon. Watching the health bar of the dead dragon constantly decreasing, the planning team is a mess. They still remember. They had initially set the dead dragon as a held difficulty level, unbeatable by anyone. Therefore, they put a large amount of precious props into the rewards for defeating the death dragon. Now the planner felt doomed. Once those props were leaked, it could cause chaos in the world. Now the planner can only pin their hopes on Xianxing, asking him to only dodge and not attack. The next second, Xianxing raised his hand and unleashed a powerful skill. Using Thanatos Nocturne as a cover, she arrived under the softest belly of the death dragon overnight. He gave him a hard stab. Silong screamed in pain. He was also forced into a nightmare. However, because the dead dragon's level is too high, the nightmare's effect on him is halved to only 0.5 seconds. It was this 0.5 seconds that allowed Xianxing to discover the Silong's weakness. That is kneeling, located above his 7 inches. This is the weakness of all dragon clans. He just said it. Xianxing raised his hand and struck with a sword, hitting the Nilong's reverse scale. It dealt a fatal blow to it. The intense pain made the dead dragon writhe uncontrollably. Not dead yet. Xianxing also could not help but sigh at the power of the death dragon. Only 10 minutes left. Xianxing seized the opportunity and started to unleash his ultimate move. Death Ward. Even if Silong is immune to the 1-minute sleep effect, he is still forced to take double damage. He saw that his opponent was so powerful. The dying dragon will also fight to the death. He gathered all his remaining strength into the fireball in his mouth. After aiming at Xianxing, he shot with force. The ground was instantly smashed into a deep pit. But he didn't expect. Xianxing, however, leaped up and unleashed the song of the berserker. At the same time, made eye contact with Silong. Go all out again. Release the Nocturne of Thanos. This time, the dragon is finished. Xianxing felt very emotional afterward. If it wasn't for the invincible immunity time of the berserker's song, he would have been dead if it was just 0.1 second later. Thinking about it, it really is whole paw. But even more anticipated are the rewards obtained after killing Silong. The system prompted that Xianxing had defeated an opponent whose strength was not too formidable. Therefore, he directly received 2000 DP. He also achieved the impossible. Level directly upgraded to 60, obtaining the god-level skill Tananusias collection. Started a new mission, find Thanos' messenger. Xianxing excitedly picked up the rewards that burst out on the ground. Looking up, he saw a mysterious figure in the distance, radiating green light all over his body. He immediately called Xianxing an ignorant god. Xianxing was stunned. Could this be the legendary messenger? This game is just throwing money away. Just by casually grinding monsters, you can earn over 10,000 yuan a day. This newbie, only 3 days in, did it effortlessly. He defeated the death dragon, which was designed to be the strongest and most violent. Therefore, he was summoned by the envoy. Although Xianxing knew this was just a pre-recorded video. But he really couldn't help wanting to give the envoy a big slap. Because of the previous question, which was so abnormal. It was the messenger, whose entire body was emitting green light, who spoke. And it seems the messenger anticipated this, so he dared to appear in person. To be honest, the envoy came to celebrate Xianxing's success in repelling the death dragon. He now gave Xianxing 2 skills to attack him. The first skill is called Tamano's Summon. Consuming 1000 DP can activate it. Upon activation, except for the caster themselves, all other creatures within 1000 gene will die. After reading the introduction, Xianxing exclaimed, "This is too outrageous. If you open it up several times, won't Earth be left barren?" Xianxing was still hesitant at this moment. When he saw the second skill, his pupils suddenly constricted, his face full of disbelief. She immediately calmly chose the second skill. This scene happened to be seen by the game planner who was monitoring him. Originally, the planner thought that Xianxing would need at least 1 year. The ability to surpass the top players ahead now unexpectedly only took 3 days to defeat the death dragon, which was set to be the strongest. especially after seeing that Xianxing had also found Tamanano's summoning skill. The planner was absolutely panicked. If Xianxing used this skill to gain experience points crazily, it wouldn't be good. Suddenly everyone in the control room was dumbfounded. Xianxing surprisingly gave up the summoning of Tamanos and chose another skill. The planner was sweating profusely. It seemed he was going to be scolded by the management again. Then, the planner turned around and left the control room dejectedly. His subordinates also voiced their grievances for him. Why was it Xianxing who encountered such a supernatural skill? This skill is called the lucid dream of Tamanos. It allows Xianxing to have 1 minute of invincibility during battle. It can also have the cooldown time of all items in the DP store. That is to say, Xianxing, who originally could only have 1 legendary skill a month, can now have 1 in half a month. This completely delighted Xianxing. This is practically like cheating. No wonder when he saw the second skill, Xianxing immediately decided. After Xianxing made his choice, the envoy also prepared to bid him farewell. Unexpectedly, the envoy played a trick on Xianxing at the last moment. He warned Xianxing that this ancient city would be razed to the ground in 1 minute. If Xianxing didn't run out in time, he would die. This made Xianxing furious. He ran towards the gate as fast as he could, all the while cursing the messenger's family. Fortunately, in the last second, Xianxing finally escaped from the ancient city. Seeing Xianxing panting and in a sorry state, Han Shuya, who was waiting outside the door, thought that Xianxing had failed the mission. After learning that Xianxing had been set up by the emissary, Han Shuya understood. After all, he had also been messed with by the messenger quite a bit. Thanks to Xianxing now, Han Shuya also finished the task and received a reward, but she was more curious about what Xianxing received. Speaking of this, Xianxikai suddenly opened his prop library. Kai realized she had not noticed after defeating the Death Dragon. He actually obtained a legendary skill book. And there are boots that increase movement speed, a belt that negates 5 attacks daily, and a ring that allows cursing someone 5 times a day. Certainly, the most incredible thing was obtaining Gulong's heart. As long as you eat it afterward. A legendary medicinal herb that can permanently increase magic power by 500 points and double intelligence. Comparison with Xianxing. Han Shuya unfortunately obtained a useless skill called the Wake Up Song. After the two bid farewell, Xianxing returned to the hotel. Could not wait to eat Gulong's heart. Don't mention it, this heart muscle tastes amazing. The young man lay in bed with his legs spread apart, and he could earn over 10,000 yuan a day. Xuanxing successfully signed a contract with his old classmate from the media company. He became the only male influencer under their company. Old classmates are urging Xianxing to quickly hand over the selfie. Because the movie was really amazing. He had never seen anyone as talented as Xianxing. Just 3 days in, she single-handedly destroyed the fearsome Chaorin guild. He instantly killed the strongest Tyrannosaurus Rex. He felt bored because Bug already existed. Decided to gradually slow down the upgrade pace. It's best to find a few more teammates to hunt together. Come and experience the fun of this game. But on the other hand, Leno, the guild leader of Transcendent, was furious. Due to Xianxing's interference, he is now wanted by the mayor of Vinia nationwide. The superhuman society she had built over the years also completely collapsed. Leno, furious that he could no longer log into his previous account, blamed Xianxing for everything. Le fiercely declared that he would definitely take revenge. He then jumped into the gaming pod. He plans to use the information he previously used to sell. She also wants to retaliate against Xianxing. At the same time, Xianxing also woke up because he had acquired the skill of sleepwalking. This allows him to earn DP points for lottery even in his sleep. At this moment, Xianxing finally remembered the skill he had previously acquired. Opening it up, the skill was named Tananusi's Collection. The effect is to collect the souls of bosses hunted by players. This explanation made Xianxing a little confused. Anyway, he will probably be very powerful in future games. For now, Xianxing's top priority is to pick up some tasks to do. When I arrived at the labor union, it was overcrowded and extremely noisy. However, Xianxing, who wanted to team up with someone for hunting, eventually had to choose a shared task with a higher bounty. Taking a closer look at the details of the mission, it turned out to be collecting sharkmen's scales from an underwater cave. You will receive 1,000 gold coins and experience points for every material you collect. Deng Xianxing just clicked confirm. A blonde guy came to talk to him. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be an old customer who had bought a pile of junk props from Xianxing in Luhe. Huang Mao recently also had the idea of teaming up with someone, but in the team he joined. The other 3 are old friends who know each other. This led to Huang Mao's very awkward position. So he wanted to invite Xianxing to join his team to hunt together. Upon learning the squad Huang Mao was in, Xuanxing agreed to go to the underwater cave and do the same task as him. Xianxing, who did not want to reveal his god-level profession, he could only announce to the public that he was a rare and auspicious profession. Fortunately, his teammates were all very kind on the surface. Doesn't mind Xuanxing's rank. Xuanxing still thought he had met a good person. But they all had their own little plans. They created a group chat just for Huang Mao and Xianxing. They were still brainstorming in the group chat, figuring out how to loot all of Xianxing's equipment. At this moment, Huang Mao and Xianxing were not yet aware of the seriousness of the situation. Instead, she happily chose to go hunting with the three of them. Seeing Huang Mao in danger, Xianxing immediately stepped forward and repelled the enemy. They cooperated very well. This is the man who is best at playing the pig to eat the tiger that I have ever seen. Mingning has the ability to instantly kill the boss with one hit, yet still painstakingly in front of teammates. He was cut by a monster. This acting is so amazing, I'd be shocked if you weren't nominated for an Oscar next year. Xianxing, who longed for teammates, unexpectedly joined a team. She also came to the underwater cave to hunt with her friends. He saw his teammate Huang Mao about to be killed by the ninja turtle in front of him. Xianxing quickly flashed to the monster. He swung his large sword, creating distance between them. The female mage in the team cast a thunderbolt, making the air scorching hot and difficult to breathe. The archer also didn't waste any time, quickly delivering another strike. Unexpectedly, monsters also know how to pick on the weak. He unexpectedly turned his head and stared at Huang Mao, the weakest member of the team. Huang Mao's heart was pounding. He thought he was finished. At the critical moment, Xianxing stepped forward and blocked the fatal blow for Huang Mao. Xuanxing just felt like his body was hollowed out when he was quickly healed remotely by the healer in his team. Now Xianxing was full of energy. Support the female mage in the team. They took down the teenage mutant ninja turtles together. But afterward, the three malicious people were still terrified. They had already seen Xianxing's powerful strength in the previous battle, so they dared not act rashly again. And what Xianxing was thinking at this moment was that his acting just now was really good. From now on, let's hunt like this. This way, everyone will have a better gaming experience. After the battle, Huang Mao, who is good at business, immediately converted the dropped items into money. He distributed it to everyone. Seeing a full 5 million credited to his account, Xianxing's eyes lit up. However, Huang Mao took the opportunity to suggest that everyone was tired and should rest for a while, so that they could also discuss the next route. Huang Mao volunteered that he had done his research before coming here. Now there are two paths for everyone to choose from. 1. The right path is the most popular and safest choice. 2. The left path is less traveled but significantly more challenging. The archer maliciously wanted to go left, feeling that was the only way to have an adventure. The two girls forced a smile, feeling that there was no need for everyone to take risks. Unexpectedly, Xianxing also volunteered to go to the left side. So the minority yielded to the majority, embarked on the monster-slaying journey. Indeed, the difficulty of this left road is indeed very high. Everyone tried their best but only got one shark aura. Xuanxing is still savoring the food. Huang Mao suggested everyone take a break. Xianxing smiled on the surface but thought that taking a break was a waste of time. Originally, he could complete the Donku in an hour by himself, but now he keeps resting. However, what he was more concerned about was the unkind gaze of the three people in front of him. Xianxing keenly noticed that the three people opposite him had been secretly looking at him. Could it be that they are eyeing their props? But before the critical moment, Xianxing still wanted to see the next moves of the three people. Unexpectedly, the Sagittarius actually got up on his own. Going to be a kindergarten hidden monster. Let Huang Mao be responsible for attracting aggro. The shark man was tricked. Xianxing and the sorceress quickly pressed their advantage. A physical attack. A magic attack completely overwhelmed the shark man. To make the performance more realistic, Xianxing even took the initiative to withstand a big pie dong from the shark man. So that the female support in the team has something to do. Finally, she didn't steal the spotlight. She let the female mage take all the kills. After the battle ended, Huang Mao, as usual, cleaned up the battlefield and distributed the props to everyone. A surprised shout came from the male archer in the team, claiming he saw a strange thing in the cave across the way. Huang Mao and Xianxing were dumbfounded. That dark cave doesn't look like it has anything in it. The archer said his force was good, but Xianxing always felt something was strange. Since that's the case, let's continue the act. And the naive Huang Mao thought they had found a hidden instance. Quickly and happily entered the secret dungeon. Little did he know, This was to be his burial place. This player wearing divine-level equipment. It took all his might to kill a small monster. His teammates thought he was a fool with money. They conspired to use the boss to kill him. Divide his equipment equally. Xianxing had already anticipated their prediction. After her teammates led her to the dungeon, Xianxing smiled evilly and charmingly. He had already noticed something was wrong. If ordinary people find hidden instances, they would all be as foolishly happy as Huang Mao. How could their reactions be so indifferent, like those people? There is only one possibility. They have been here before. The unsuspecting Huang Mao was still in the dark. Before entering the hidden dungeon, she still urged Xianxing, the weakest of them, to be careful. As the system prompt sounded, the 5 people officially entered the hidden instance. Just as she entered, the monster has awakened. However, Xianxing was still guessing what his teammate would do. He thought his teammate would attack him after he killed the boss and was exhausted. But the most urgent task now is the boss in front of us. Xianxing, like an arrow released from a bowstring, quickly rushed to the monster. A half-moon kick in the air, he dashed forward with elegance. She didn't even turn her head back and knew she was a monster. Huang Mao Jianzhuang excitedly cheered Xianxing on. He is still throwing gold coins to attract hatred. This is simply a roast. He was so furious with the monster that he was about to chase the yellow-haired guy. Xianxing Jianzhuang does a spin jump. It directly soared into the air and poked out one of the monster's eyes. Seeing the time was ripe, Huang Mao immediately spoke. Let the archer and mage enter the battlefield. While restraining the monster, Xuanxing was in a maritime mirage. While the monster was immersed in the beautiful illusion, a whirlwind of 5 consecutive strikes will make him a new man. The monster was so angry that he wanted to fight physically, but Xianxing nimbly dodged it. The malicious teammate finally revealed their true colors. First, the support said she didn't have enough mana to heal Xianxing. Then the mage cast a thunderbolt towards Xianxing. Afterward, she said that she missed. Now Xianxing could completely see it. Unexpectedly, due to a moment of carelessness, Xianxing was bitten hard by the monster. Fortunately, Xianxing released his skills at the crucial moment. The monster was stunned for 5 seconds. He took out the life potion he had prepared beforehand and drank it. In an instant, his back didn't ache and his legs didn't feel sore. He could climb 5 flights of stairs in one breath. Now the 3 with malicious intentions were completely dumbfounded. And Xianxing also understood, seeing how the 3 people were so skilled in their tactics. They must have done this more than once. This time, he must teach the 3 a lesson. At this moment, the 3 of them were prepared to throw caution to the wind. Directly and brazenly attack Xianxing. Xianxing easily dodged all the attacks. Especially just now, also said Mei Lantian's support. Now, to kill Xianxing, he even released a skill. It's completely fake. Huang Mao, who still didn't understand the situation, was still frantically showing off his skills. Finally, the 3 of them were dumbfounded as they watched Xianxing eliminate the boss. Xuanxing, however, didn't choose to expose them. Instead, he and Huang Mao gave them a thumbs up together, praising the 3. Thanks to them, they all survived. This was even more painful for the 3 of them than death. The system will announce that the underwater cave will close in 10 seconds. Everyone will be reminded when they move to the entrance. Xianxing's face gradually revealed a sneer. This cunning merchant actually gave up the chance to split the loot from the monster. Xianxing originally still felt a little sorry for him. Then he turned his head. All the good props were already chosen by the other 3 veteran boxers. Moreover, they dropped all pretense after discovering Xianxing's formidable strength. Even the most basic greeting did not exist. She picked up the props and turned around to leave. Fortunately, Xianxing didn't mind. He was quite fond of the skill book that the 3 of them looked down upon. This skill called Just Faden can shoot water-made sharks at enemies. Although the cooldown time is a full hour, it works well with the Dragon Rock skill that Xianxing acquired before. He can literally ignore the cooldown and cast fire spells at will. Thinking about this, Xianxing is already very satisfied. Plus, he had Huang Mao as a teammate. Overall, this team trip was worthwhile. After finishing the hunt, Xianxing waved goodbye to Huang Mao. But he clearly hadn't spared those teammates who had ambushed him before. So the next day, Xuanxing came specifically to the vicinity of the 3 people's birthplace to wait. The 3 of them were still determined. They agreed that they couldn't deal with Xianxing. Then go find Huang Mao and cause trouble. If you can kill him, he could sell all of his props for tens of millions of yuan. Amidst their laughter, all 3 of their pupils suddenly constricted. As if seeing something extremely terrifying, a moment later, an ethereal voice came out. People who like to stab others in the back will one day be stabbed to death themselves. The moment the words left her mouth, the three of them vanished into thin air. A closer look revealed that it was Xianxing who had ambushed them. With the demise of the three players, Xianxing received a 20 DP reward. Xuanxing was quite curious at this moment. If he had the chance, he would definitely interview them and ask how it felt to be stabbed in the back. However, what comes along with it is an increase in retribution points. Looking at the retribution points on the skill panel, Xianxing lamented that this was not a good sign. But the system suddenly sent a notification. DP Shop has added a new feature. You can choose to use DP to offset retribution. This is truly heaven's help for my eyes. Xianxing's lips curled into a mischievous smile. It means that killing people is no longer a problem. 5 days later, the 3 people who were killed logged back into the game. Unlike before when they scammed others. Now the 3 of them had become startled birds, fearing another sneak attack. However, they felt that the one who killed them last time wasn't Xianxing. If Xianxing was so powerful, he definitely would have used it in the dungeon. Why did he get slapped by a monster back then? Moreover, Xianxing was the lowest level player in their team. Not even level 80, where could they possibly snatch it? Could it be Zunsheng's teammate? Fortunately, no one in the group chat has exposed them as professional backstabbers. The words had barely left her mouth. Pa 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 3 sounds. Xianxing killed the 3 people again. This time, the 3 people's props also fell to the ground. Although the karmic value has increased by 300, it can be completely offset with 30 DP. In that case, trading 30 DP for 3 rare items is not a bad deal. But Xianxing is not someone who would hurt his teammates. He only punishes those with evil intentions. On the other side, after all the preparations were completed, finally, the film in which Xianxing is renamed Azura will be released. But he didn't expect. Once released, Azura, this name, unexpectedly went viral in just 10 minutes. The number of views has reached an astounding 30 million. All the girls were very curious about the face under the Azura mask. Especially Xianya. He even pestered his brother to ask for Ashura's contact information. Little did he know that the older brother standing in front of him was actually his idol. Do you want to have 1 million followers in 10 minutes? This man, being bored, posted his gaming videos online. In less than 10 minutes, the number of views reached an astonishing 30 million. This is not the end. Xuanxing looked down at his homepage's fans. Completely fainted. In just 10 minutes, the number of fans exceeded 1 million. Looking at the hot search, the top 10 entries are all about him. Xianxing couldn't believe that he had become an overnight sensation. Facing his younger sister's inquiry, Xianxing had to lie and say that this Ashura was his good friend. My younger sister was instantly thrilled, pestering Xianxing to ask him for help in making contact. But on the other hand, Ian was fighting monsters alone, facing giant beasts taller than him. A spinning jump. He actually rode directly onto the monster's neck. At lightning speed. It's the red vest that the monster wore. With the monster crashing to the ground, Ian felt rather dejected. He felt that compared to Xianxing's strength, he was still far behind. Thinking of Xianxing, Ian couldn't help but fantasize about seeing him again. He can also return the item Xianxing didn't pick up last time to him. Ian finished the task afterward, walked towards Zhongxing Plaza. Only then discovered, the surrounding people seemed to be discussing the same topic. Listened carefully. It unexpectedly said that recently a player named Ashura has appeared in the game. Even the game's founder seems to acknowledge Ashura's strength. He put his video on the homepage as promotion. Ian didn't know what they were talking about. Looking up, he saw the game's homepage banner. That mysterious man wearing a mask, isn't he the Xianxing she has been longing for? Ian's face flushed instantly. He decided to go to Vinia, the place revealed in the video, to see Xianxing right away. At this time, Xuanya also immediately went online. Found the union president, Aling. Excitedly told Aling that his brother knew Azura and said that he had already asked his brother for a favor. Ask him to ask Azura if she is willing to join their guild. Hearing this, Aling immediately stood up and held Xianya's hand. Please tell Ashura that they met in the lake and cave before. Now, Aling also hopes that Axiolo can join the guild. Or maybe I can add him as a friend and meet him so that Aling can return the item that Ashioluo didn't pick up last time. Kind Xianya agreed. When I go back, I'll tell my older brother about this. Xianxing also finally understood at this time. It turned out that the 2 sisters he met in the Lichen Cave were the guild leaders of Xianya's guild. On second thought, this is bad. This also means that En and Aling must know that his name is Xianxing. If Xuanya finds out, won't it be revealed? But if he doesn't deal with it, Xianxing really wants to get back his prop that he dropped last time. So Xianxing had to temporarily deceive his younger sister, saying that Ashura was a very shy person, so he had to ask him first. On the other side, the Karen Empire in the game. A grand event is being planned right now. It was a tournament open to all citizens and travelers of the Empire, a fair competition where only the victor. Then he would be granted a wish, personally promised by the king. Preparations for the event are in full swing. Many players in the east of Vinia all widened their eyes and looked into the distance in horror. Taking a closer look, a horde of ferocious monsters, like a city besieged by zombies, began to invade the town. Savagely gnawing on innocent humans, she muttered to herself, "Kill all of Thanos' descendants." This new player just entered the lobby. The ordinary NPC turned around and ran away. The most top-tier priest in the game. Everyone bows to him at a 90-degree angle. Even the messengers of the gods would kneel and kowtow, until the head breaks and bleeds, then overflowing tears fall. This stunned the other players. Xianxing also didn't understand what was going on. Keep in mind that the usually arrogant priest wasn't as humble as he is now. Many players were shocked and amazed as Xianxing walked away. In a blink of an eye, Xianxing was already being led to the cabinet by the priest. This is Archbishop Venia's room in the Pantheon. But a strange scene is taking place inside. A respectful elder, over 50 years old, is standing by his side. Serving a newbie who had just joined the game for 3 days, Xianxing was also completely restless by this scene. He was just about to leave when suddenly, the wall in the distance was smashed through with a bang. Xianxing quickly stood up, thinking he was being attacked. A closer look revealed a priest with a non-mainstream hairstyle. The moment she saw Xianxing again, she burst into tears and knelt down, continuously kowtowing to Xianxing. Blood gushed from his forehead. The priest kowtowed while introducing himself. He is a priest dedicated to serving Lord Thanos, named Liphius. Only now does Xianxing understand. No wonder everyone reacted that way when they saw him. It turns out it was all because of Li Feiyu. Xianxing wanted to leave this embarrassing place quickly. Surprisingly, Li Feiyu was attached to him. "I have to go with him." He also took him to Thanos' shrine. Xianxing was only slightly more polite to Liphius. The other party knelt down in surprise and gratitude. The talent show has started again. Every time, she gets blood all over her face. Xianxing wanted Li Feiyu to calm down for a while. Talk to him properly about the god Thanos. Unexpectedly, Liphius only knew that Thanos was the strongest among the gods, and that was it. At that moment, Xianxing looked at Liphius with an expression of someone looking at an idiot. Liphius thought she had something dirty on her face, so she raised her hand and slapped herself hard. This guy is really ruthless to himself. Xianxing saw that there was nothing to gain from Liphius. He had to give up and prepared to leave, but then he heard the sound of Li Feiyu packing her luggage behind him. When Xianxing turned his head and looked. Wow! I don't know when Li Feiyu packed her bag. He would follow Xianxing's master wherever he went. He said that was an order from the envoy to him. Upon hearing the envoy's deficient report, Xianxing finally understood that he had been tricked again. But the messenger originally said, "When Xianxing comes, a wicked aura will also appear." Although Xianxing felt a little unhappy. They have to act together with Li Feiyu. Speaking of this, Li Feiyu suddenly remembered. The envoy also said that in order to make Xianxing grow faster, someone used the power of the evil dragon. This causes the surrounding monsters to swarm along with Xianxing. Xianxing still didn't understand what Liphius was saying. He opened the forum and was dumbfounded. Many monsters are actually following him and starting to march mightily toward here. At the same time, the monsters also triggered an emergency mission, protect Vinia. This made Xianxing a little excited. Quickly sign a contract with Li Feiyu and become teammates. We are ready to fight this engineering battle together. At the moment Xianxing saw Liphius's level, he was stunned. This old Chinibia NPC was unexpectedly as high as level 560. You should know that the top player on the Chinese server is only around level 360. Who is this standing before him? This is probably the noblest greeting etiquette. He must kowtow until blood flows. Xianxing, with a fierce expression, looked confused. Just accepted this level 560 NPC as a younger brother. You should know that even the top player on the Chinese server is only around level 360. This stumped the female programmer in the game development team. It's unbelievable that a player who just started 3 days ago doesn't play by the rules. For this, female programmer Xiaoming has not slept for 3 days and 3 nights, working overnight to patch the game. At this moment, she was limp and curled up helplessly in the seat. He kept greeting Xianxing's family in his heart. Xianxing is now completely out of their control. Even AI can't predict this bizarre player's next move. If Xianxing really takes Liphius to participate in the engineering battle, Then she will at least reach level 100. This is bad. Because the game setting is that every player will get 2 skills when they reach level 100. One is a passive skill, the other is a super powerful skill that can be called a unique skill. Especially the descendants of Thanos, this profession. It would be even more defying the heavens and directly gain 2 active skills. If that time comes, it is estimated that no player in the entire server will be Xuanqing's opponent. Xiaoming thought this way, and instantly the instant noodles in his mouth were no longer tasty. She quickly used the software to make an emergency calculation. This is how I learned. If Xuanqing kills all the monsters tempted by the dead dragon goo, he will reach at least level 101. Moreover, if she defeats the boss alone, she will receive at least 5 mission rewards and the best item drop. Xiaoming was completely dumbfounded. Had to put down the instant noodles. He hit the keyboard with a face full of anger. I feel like I'll be staying up all night patching things again tonight. On the other side, Ian had just finished his hunting mission. Also found that the hall released an emergency mission to protect Vinia. With the desire to seize Xuanqing, Ian also volunteered to join this engineering war. At this moment, Xuanqing was standing on the cliff with his younger brother, Li Fei Wuxi, admiring the empire he had conquered. Looking at the monsters gathering in the distance, Xuanqing calmly put on his exclusive mask. Behind her, Li Fei's instantly turned into a little fangirl, excitedly cheering for Xuanqing, exclaiming, "Master is so handsome!" Xuanqing turned his head and looked at Livius. At this moment, a faint blush slowly spread across Livius's face. She didn't know what her master would do to her next, after a flush of embarrassment. They finalized their next battle plan. Facing the vast army of monsters, Livius divided Xuanqing's aura into many parts. Gradually scattered into the jungle, he then suddenly disappeared. At this time, the monster army was in a panic. They all scattered to search for Xuanqing's whereabouts. Xuanqing also discovered that because of the power of the dead dragon, all the monsters are much stronger than usual. Now each boss has about 100 subordinates. This means that the monster army has at least 4,000 to 5,000 monsters. If they are allowed to enter Vinia like this, the consequences will be unimaginable. Therefore, Xuanqing decided to lower the difficulty of the game for everyone. He was originally capable of single-handedly wiping out the entire monster army. But he can't take all this experience and items by himself. Just leave the leading bosses and elite monsters to him. The words had just left his mouth. Xuanqing selected the fiercest-looking wild wolf. Big Bad Wolf and Black Snake are fighting. Who will be the final winner? Facing a massive horde of monsters, resembling a zombie siege, Xuanqing is preparing to start with Hui Tailong, who has a yellow moon like Bao Qingtian on his forehead. At this time, Yu Lang also sensed Xuanqing's presence. Xuanqing suddenly descended from the sky. Suddenly appeared in front of Yu Lang. Then came a barrage of magic bullets. He repelled the many followers surrounding the moon wolf. Seeing this, Yu Lang laughed loudly to the sky. Activated the wolf howl skill. Instantly all the surrounding wolf monsters' ability values all increased by 20%. Xuanqing, however, didn't care. He thought, "This moon wolf doesn't think he's the only one with a buff, does he?" The words had barely left his lips when Li Fei, Xuanqing's loyal little fan. This infused Xuanqing with the Death God Vitality buff. This allows him to increase all his stats by 50% within an hour. The moon wolf and tiger left for a while. Along with a burst of furious roars, the battle between the two sides officially began. Only Xuanqing, whose size was vastly different from that of the moon wolf, could be seen. A fast horse galloped directly behind Yu Lang. He simply raised his arm, and the numerous moon wolf subordinates in front of him answered in unison. At this moment, Yu Lang finally realized. For Xuanqing, this might not even be a battle. But it was just an ordinary hunt. To avoid leaving any wounds on Yu Lang's body as much as possible, Xuanqing was going to give up using the magic bullets. Hunting only with the sword in hand. The words had just left his mouth. A sharp, bright yellow sword pierced straight into the throat of the moon wolf. Xuanqing pressed on his advantage, releasing the Nocturne of Thanatos. Yu Lang was plunged into endless suffering. Before his death, Yu Lang looked at Xuanqing's face. At that moment, he finally remembered the fear of being dominated by hunters many years ago. With the reduction of Yu Lang, Xuanqing obtained many rare items and level upgrades. But he wasn't satisfied. Xuanqing only looked at the corpse of the moon wolf. Activated Thanos' soul game skill. Then, unexpectedly, Yu Lang was revived in full view of everyone. He also got a buff that increased all his stats by 50%. From then on, Yu Lang became Xuanqing's servant, at his beck and call. Seeing this scene, Empress Li Wuxi also thought her master was really cool. Xianxing was also very proud. Of course, hunting must have hunting dogs to open the way. Therefore, Xianxing obtained the moon wolf as his mount. He also carried him to find one of the 4 buffs, the black snake. Looking at the black snake in the distance, Xianxing felt a little strange. Although the black snake's strength may be inferior to the ogre and the giant orc that we will face next, its venom is very troublesome. Unexpectedly, the role of the moon wolf has arrived. Facing the black snake, the moon wolf, who had already lost his mind, unexpectedly started attacking his teammates. He bit the black snake's vital point in one bite. The intense pain made the black snake suffer greatly. Undeterred, he launched another Shalong byway attack, but clasped onto the back of the moon wolf's neck. Eyes watched desires clash. That is, of course, Xuanxing's merit. While the black snake was being held back, Xianxing took 3 steps and sat down, directly slaughtering the black snake in the air. Not yet reacted. Haish Gio de Le. And he will receive 4 buffs. The most powerful ogre and giant orc. Even worse, these 2 bosses appear together. This man riding Erlangshan is not Xiao Tian Quan, but the descendant of the death god Thanatos. He, who always acts invincible, is now panicking. The ogre before my eyes is the final boss of this game. Don't let his unintelligent appearance fool you. His defense is surprisingly high. Make all of Xianxing's skills ineffective. Xianxing's great sword swept across, immediately drawing a magic circle on the ground. Then he summoned a meteor hammer out of thin air. He slammed it down on the ogre. At the moment the ogre was attracted by the loud sound. Xianxing quickly transformed into Lao Lu. He struck him a fatal blow while he was off guard. Then she turned around smartly and landed perfectly. This thoroughly angered the ogre in front of him. He pounded his fist heavily in the direction of Xianxing. Wherever it landed, a deep pit appeared. Fortunately, Xianxing also has the skills of Mirage and Dream Belt to dodge the opponent's attacks. But her active attack skills are indeed too few. Seeing that she had failed to hit Xianxing, the ogre angrily used magic to nullify the buff. Change to a buff that increases by 30%. This suits Xuanxing's intentions. Without the magic nullification buff's protection, Xianxing then began to use magic unscrupulously. First, a giant shark missile. Countless water bombs transformed into the form of giant sharks. He suddenly charged at the ogre. The ogre was so frightened by the scene in front of him that he backed away repeatedly. While running, she also brandished a weapon. Her body was still firmly bitten in multiple places by the giant shark. The ogre, feeling pain, crushed the shark that attacked him with his bare hands. He threw them to the ground hard. At the critical moment, Xianxing once again took advantage of their unpreparedness. Directly used the dagger in her hand to stab out one of the ogre's eyes. The ogre yelled in pain. The system notification sound also rang. As Xianxing dealt a fatal blow to the ogre would lose sight in his left eye for 10 seconds. In addition, with Xianxing activating Tanano's nightmare, the ogre would experience an additional 5 seconds of hallucination and pain. At this time, the ogre twisted his body in pain. However, what Xianxing did not expect was, even if the ogre is in a hallucination, unexpectedly, due to his efforts, he began to counterattack. He anticipated his anticipation, almost crushing him into a meat pie. Then, looking at the tattooed monsters coming from behind, Xianxing realized that his situation was getting worse and worse. At this very moment, a huge European truck even comes to join the fun. The moon prison, which he had just resurrected, died again in the face of the giant Ouka. This is troublesome. Helplessly, Xianxing had no choice but to think about reducing the number of monsters first. Thus began Thanano's nocturne. In an instant, countless thunderbolts flashed across the sky, electrocuting the giant creature, leaving its outer layer charred and its soul in agony. Now only the ogre and the giant orc remain. Even though Xianxing tried his best. Even though he used the dream waistband to nullify the attack. He then used the giant killer missile to counterattack. But she almost lost her life. Now even the skill to nullify attacks. There are only 3 chances left. In contrast, the ogre and the giant ogre were completely unharmed. Xianxing felt a sense of crisis for the first time. Originally, he thought, I possess the ability to kill all enemies. Unexpectedly, in the end, he became the prey that was delivered to the door. Although he gave it his all, he might still have a chance of winning. But he, with his idle baggage, just wants to show in his videos an overwhelming victory over the monsters. After much deliberation, Xianxing decided to use his trump card. He whispered, Did you awaken Tannos? Once you awaken him, that's it. This man's debut was extremely successful. He got the Shinji profession as soon as he entered the game. Not only that, but every monster a man kills, can revive it again as his servant. Faced with the pincer attack of giant ogres and man-eaters, Xianxing's pursuit of perfection. Did you have to unleash the ultimate weapon, the awakened Thanos? This means that Xianxing entered an invincible state for the next minute. He can ignore the cooldown of all skills, but the price is that his defense will be completely zero for 10 days after using this skill. However, Xianxing was very confident. Looking at the two not-so-smart bosses in front of him, 1 minute was enough. Xianxing was the first to activate Berserker's Song. Not only is Thanos immune to all damage in his lucid dreams, but he also gains movement speed and attack power. A 50% increase across the board. Countless iron chains shot out from Xianxing's surroundings in an instant. He rushed towards the monster in front of him. However, this move completely enraged the monster boss on the opposite side. But he couldn't fight back. Xianxing had already been protected by the shark missile. Came before the giant orcs. He used the whirlwind 5/. As Xianxing landed with the chi, Ouka behind him was ripped open. This is not the end. Xianxing also made the touching bomb brick hit Ouka's eyes. While the other was blinded, he also went to deal with the cannibal. Seeing the ogre's giant meteor hammer pass by him, Xianxing's heart panicked. But he tried to adjust his state. She flipped over and straddled the ogre's back. As the night music of Thanatos descends, Xianxing successfully completed a wave of separate actions. Xianxing was very proud of having done all this. In the end, he didn't forget to revive the ogre with the murderous pearl, making him his slave. At this moment, the giant Ouka, who was temporarily blinded, finally recovered and glared at Xianxing with angry eyes. He roared, "Die, descendant of Thanos!" The moment he finished speaking, he was thrown away by the ogre who was considered as Xianxing's younger brother. Ko yu kachua haibu dajuan fengqi. First, she used scrap materials to restrain Xianxing. Then, she completely disabled Xianxing's dream belt. Immediately, Ouka used his extensible arm. Suddenly, Xianxing was smashed into a deep pit. Unable to shovel it up. Thought Xianxing would die for sure. Now Ouka is looking at the place where Liphius is. Just as he was feeling proud, he suddenly saw the ogre that was still being controlled. Is Xianxing still alive? He just said it. Xianxing, with bloodshot eyes, crawled out of the deep pit again. Ouka was completely dumbfounded. He simply exclaimed, "This is impossible!" Liphius on the side had a look of watching a play, feeling that this European guest hadn't yet realized the seriousness of the problem. And the Xianxing power that reappeared was even stronger. Directly killed the giant European passenger with 1 slash. After killing 2 big sticks, Xianxing obtained countless precious props. However, he started to review. If he could have struck the thunder in the Tamanios Night District at that moment, words that could have dealt a fatal blow to the European guest might have earned DP points. What a blunder. But worse still. Xianxing, with 0 defense, saw a familiar figure. This god-level professional player's defense is unexpectedly not 0, because he cut until his hand got soft. At this time, countless monsters seeking revenge surrounded him. Just when Xianxing didn't know what to do, there was a loud boom in the sky. Yen makes a grand entrance. Release the thunder, hammer all the monsters, the sky falls and the earth collapses. First glance at Yen. Liphius was like a vinegar jar overturned, with an expression that said, "You want to steal my man? What is Yen, a paladin serving the god of sky, doing here?" Yen's small face instantly turned red, unable to understand how the Shamate in front of him could have figured out her profession. Feeling her master's glare, Liphius quickly realized his gaffe and hurriedly apologized to Xianxing. However, Yen said that he came to find Xianxing without any malice but to return the props to him. At this time, Xianxing's brain was racing. He didn't want Yen and Ailing to know his real identity yet. Otherwise, it would be exposed in front of his sister. But how did Yen find him alone? Yen quickly explained that he had seen the Azura film released online by Xianxing. The message shows he is in Vina Del Mar, so he came here to look for him. This explanation made Xianxing very satisfied. At least his identity had not been exposed yet. Just as the words left her mouth, a horde of monsters attacked again, charging towards the 3 of them. Seeing that the enemy's forces were simply too numerous, Xianxing suggested they make a strategic retreat. "We have to find a way to escape from here as soon as possible." Soon, the 3 of them found a safe place to stay for a while. Xianxing offered to meet Yuan at a cafe. The light bulb, Liphius, insisted on going, so Xianxing had no choice but to act. Quietly and deliberately putting on a serious expression, she whispered into Liphius's ear that the organization had an extremely important task for him. That is, to go to the Pantheon for him and find the second clue mentioned in the task. Liphius was specifically told that only she could accomplish this task. This made Liphius happy, thinking she had finally gained her master's trust. He went to do the task with a wagging tail. Looking at Li Fei Wuxi leaving, Xuanxing couldn't be happier. Now I can finally be alone with Ian. What will this lonely man and woman do in the game? At this time, Xianxing had already booked the room. This young man can flirt with girls while making money. It's easy to earn over 10,000 yuan a day and 3,000 yuan in profit. Such a career with double harvest of unemployment and love. Do you envy that Xianxing first brought Ian to a private coffee shop? The ambiguous atmosphere gradually heated up. Ian, whose face turned red, was the first to speak. She returned the props that Xianxing hadn't had time to take. He hurriedly explained that he was only sending him props and had no other intentions. But as soon as he finished explaining, the air suddenly fell into an awkward silence. This seems to make things worse. Xianxing immediately helped Ian out of the siege, indicating that he did not misunderstand. Now it was Ian's turn to be a little disappointed. He could see that the props Ian had sent him included skill books and arrows. Xianxing fell back into studaholic mode and started analyzing this great sword. It happens to perfectly offset the 50% attack power reduction. It really came at the right time. And that skill book happened to be the dodge skill that Xianxing needed the most. After all the equipment is ready. Xianxing then remembered Ian, who was still sitting awkwardly opposite him. He asked Ian to keep it a secret for him, that he is a Jura. Do not tell Xianya and Aling. Because Aling's guild has friends he knows. Ian was ecstatic, believing she shared a secret with her idol. My face flushed. I hurriedly agreed to Xianxing's request, but my heart felt a pang of jealousy. My sister's guild only has 7 people. Among them, only 2 are men. The rest are all women. Could Xuanxing's friend actually be a woman? Ian was a little worried, but Xianxing, standing before him, could only think about hurrying to socialize. I need to test my sword and new skills. So I took the initiative to get up and say goodbye to Ian. Ian was a little disappointed. He actually wanted to spend some more time alone with Xianxing. However, he couldn't refuse a friend request, could he? Ian suddenly stood up and stammered, requesting Xianxing to add him as a friend. Thought I would be rejected. Unexpectedly, Xianxing agreed to his request and said that he would team up with him to hunt when he had time. This happiness came too suddenly. Long after Xianxing left, Ian was still lost in happiness. But on the other hand, Xianxing, finally able to be alone. Now she put aside all her vigilance and started to deal with the equipment she had obtained these past few days. But upon closer inspection, where did his good luck go? All I got were low-level materials. But fortunately, he got the dodge and sweet dream skills. Especially this beautiful dream skill. Surprisingly, 1% of health is restored every 10 minutes. In that case, I just need to sleep. Combine the sleepwalking skill and the sweet dream skill. Isn't that invincible? To say that Xianxing's mentality is really good, in the eyes of others, useless dream skills are useless. It reached him and was simply transformed, almost comparable to a legendary skill. Look at that ordinary sword. In Xuanxing's hands, it's like it was tailor-made for him. What luck! Xianxing felt like she had used up all her luck. It seemed that she couldn't go out today, otherwise, there might be an accident. Unfortunately, one misfortune after another happened. This man unexpectedly has a skill of being able to sleep. Because he always wears a mask when he sleeps. He became a blogger with millions of followers overnight. But his behind-the-scenes team is incredibly busy. The company's phone was immediately flooded with calls. All media outlets are scrambling to invite this mysterious man, who became the top player in the national server just 3 days after starting, for an interview. Not only an interview. Luxury brands are offering Xianxing endorsements. As long as he agrees, any condition can be met. Who wouldn't be tempted? Xiao Shuli is extremely busy. As Bo, she discovered Xianxing and made him a blogger. Also excited. His small company, which was about to go bankrupt, has now suddenly become popular thanks to Xianxing. He has decided to significantly expand his recruitment and set up a dedicated customer service center to serve Xianxing. However, as the most important Xianxing film, Zaihuan proposed to keep it himself. Just gave instructions to the company's employees. Zaihuan received a mysterious phone call. From the phone, Zaihuan was incredibly shocked to learn a piece of intelligence. So that as soon as he hung up the phone, he immediately called Xianxing. Told him about the upcoming Imperial Duel tournament held by the game NPC. Xianxing was also surprised after receiving the news. It is said that the competition will classify the contestants by rank. Uniformly adjust everyone's ability values. Speaking of this, Zaihuan couldn't help but ask Xianxing what level he is now. When Zaihuan heard Xianxing's reply that he was already level 94, he couldn't help but be startled. Just a few days ago, Xianxing was only in his 50s. Zaihuan immediately ordered Xianxing to stop upgrading, because the competition will be grouped by rank at that time. High-rank players will naturally be matched with strong opponents. Xianxing gave a wicked smile. They both thought of this together. But this way, what's the difference between this and smurfing in the newbie zone? Speaking of which, Zaihuan asked if Xianxing's next film was ready. Actually, Xianxing had prepared it long ago. But now he's a little conflicted. He has 2 films in his hands. 1. A video of a boss fight in a dungeon. 2. A video of having just killed the 4 monster bosses of the monster core. Eating Wujun Tuan Zaihuan Ling Zhula. Could it be the monsters who attacked Vinia? Xianxing nonchalantly admitted it. He also said that even Vinia was attacked because of him. This startled all of Zaihuan's employees. Interchangeability has revealed a business opportunity. Protecting Venice, this urgent task, is a hot topic. If it were to be hyped up now, Xianxing would definitely become a sensation again. At that time, their company will also create new glories. So Zaihuan immediately changed the task, asking everyone to edit the film overnight. This younger sister, who had been talked about for 20 years, suddenly stood up. Kba Qingij Xia de Yao Si. His elder brother was a popular influencer with millions of fans, recounting over the phone how he easily killed 4 top-tier bosses. Zaihuan and his staff were completely stunned, so they immediately changed their original plan. Even if they had to stay up all night, they would edit Xianxing's video of soloing 4 bosses overnight. The world in the game was in chaos at this time. Xuanxing and his sister Xuanya, outside the game, were like 2 people who had nothing to do with it. They came to the cinema happily to watch a movie. Seeing his younger sister's happy smile, Xianxing felt very relieved. It had been 5 years since they last watched a movie together. He was very glad that although his sister became disabled, she was still so cheerful. However, if possible, Xianxing still hopes that one day his younger sister will be able to stand up again, preferably to go to university. Perhaps sensing her brother's loving gaze, Xianya decided to give him a surprise. He knew his elder brother would be worried about him because he couldn't walk yet. So I was prepared to tell him the good news after dinner. Unexpectedly, Xianxing saw his younger sister stand up. Directly vomited from fright. He stammered for a long time. He couldn't speak. His little sister thought he would be very surprised, but it turned out to be a shock. Xuanxing was furious. He was upset that his younger sister could already stand up but had kept it a secret from him. Seeing her brother Xianbo jumping in fury, Xianya was clearly frightened. He honestly confessed that he had been able to walk 3 months earlier. The reason I only told you now is that I wanted to wait until I fully recovered. Xuanxing quickly calmed down. After all, this was good news for both of them. But he cares more about his younger sister's studies. Before the accident, Xianya was forced to drop out of school before finishing middle school. Xianya is now old enough to go to university. Upon hearing about going to university, Xianya was shocked. He had never considered going to university before. However, Xianxing advised his sister to go to university. He can make friends with his peers and live the life he deserves. Once he started to enter society and work, he couldn't find any friends his age. This made Xianya a little tempted. However, Xianya had one condition: he could go to university. Xianxing must accompany him. He wanted his older brother to go to university with him. On the other side, in the game's Vinia, strange noises suddenly came from the east city wall. Upon closer inspection, it was found to be an army of monsters attacking. Leading them was Yulang, who had been defeated by Xianxing earlier. Seeing them about to climb over the city wall, the players panicked. But before she could escape, she was pounced on by the leaping moon wolf and bitten frantically. The silent night sky was also torn by people's rising and falling cries for help. A guard wanted to order his men to attack in groups, but before he could finish, he was knocked down by a ferocious moon wolf. Players, seeing this scene, were completely panicked. They quickly used all their skills and took out various weapons, aiming them at the monster army in front of them. Unexpectedly, the physical attacks were temporarily resisted. But upon closer inspection, the monster army actually had giant snakes that could spew poison. Before anyone could react, they were poisoned without ingesting anything, foaming at the mouth and fainting on the spot. A quick-witted player immediately shouted, requesting support from cleric personnel to help with the detoxification. Everyone was already overwhelmed. The venom of these poisonous snakes, after being summoned by the boss, became even more toxic than usual. However, what made everyone even more terrified was that the boss had never appeared. Finally, the sun rose. Players thought the crisis was finally over. Unexpectedly, on the distant city wall, it was full of monsters taller than the walls. That day, people finally remembered the fear of being dominated by monsters. Younger sister anxiously bid awake her older brother who was sleeping soundly because something big had happened at home. The TV was showing a video of her idol fighting monsters. But her younger sister didn't know that her idol was her brother right in front of her. Ashura's smooth and effortless high-level operations on TV, no matter how you look at it, are at least legendary professional level. Seeing his younger sister praise him, Xianxing was very happy. He didn't expect his video to be on TV. Moreover, the TV station even invited celebrities to comment on Ashura's operation. First is the sweet and popular idol Jisoo. He admires Ashura, saying that every time he watches Ashura's videos, he can't help but admire her. However, this view was bombarded by Yanhua Mofa, the 450th ranked flame mage in the national server. I think Ashura is not as powerful as everyone says. And his level must be over 150. But the urgent mission to save Vinia only started yesterday. The mission also stipulates that only players from level 100 to 150 can participate. This means that the flame magician thinks Ashura is exploiting loopholes. He despicably monopolized all the boss experience points. This will lead to the players in Vinia being almost dead now. Hearing this, Xianxing got excited. What? The players of Vinia are almost dead? What is going on? Another player on the television added. Right now, Vinia is like hell on earth. Moonwolf and a giant serpent army. There are also powerful ogres and giant ogre, all appearing together, making everyone helpless. This made Xianxing feel somewhat self-reproachful. He had thought that as long as he killed the 4 bosses, the remaining monsters would weaken. I didn't expect the situation to become so serious. Thinking of this, Xianxing immediately used the excuse of going back for tutoring and returned to his room to prepare to turn the tables. And now, many players are praying for Ashura's presence. Only he can save Vinia. Suddenly, the television station received urgent news. A player claimed that Ashura had appeared in Vinia. This is truly exciting news. Xianya was also excited to see this scene. According to frontline reporters, near the east city wall of Vinia at this time, after 4 battles it had already become a pile of rubble. The players who could have stayed here, however, were reluctant to leave. Shouts began to rise in the crowd. Even if they were to be shattered into pieces, they would still protect this city that belonged to them. With an exciting, guarding Vinia. All players are back in the battle. At this moment, thunder struck from the sky, and from the rolling smoke emerged Jing Shi Shinji Ren Yuan Ian. He laughed loudly at the sky. The law of the sky! Countless golden swords rained down from the sky, striking the monster. With the participation of the clergy, players are also more motivated. They desperately defend their homeland. But how? When will Xianxiang appear? This man should only sleep for 10,000 hours in the game. Unexpectedly became a descendant of the sleep god. From then on, he would only need to sleep. The bug machine skill that allows you to launch sleepwalking attacks while lying down. However, present-day Vinia is in chaos. This is all thanks to Xianxing. Xianxing originally thought she only needed to kill a few bosses. The remaining monsters will be much weaker. This only fueled the little monsters' determination to avenge their leader. Facing a tide of monsters, Ian was rarely defeated. Just as he closed his eyes, preparing to face his first death in the game, there was a loud boom in the sky. Xianxing appeared dazzlingly, leaving no blade of grass where he went. Ian just about called out Xuanxing's name. But he suddenly found that this time Xianxing seemed a little different. The mask on his face changed from black to white. This is even cooler. The more hair-raising operation is yet to come, Xianxing murmured. Sweet dreams. Immediately, the monsters around him let out a series of screams. However, while they were trapped in their painful hallucinations, Xianxing swept away a large area with a whirlwind slash. And at this moment, because Xianxing has already entered the battle state, Bugji's skill, Thanos' sleepwalking, was also fully activated. But this time it's a little different. The real Xianxing has become an observer. Started remotely observing her own body. Every action in a sleepwalking state. This is a very novel experience. An AI is trying its best to imitate Xianxing's personality, so it just took a glance at the beginning. However, Xianxing in a sleepwalking state was even more powerful. He could actually release so many iron chains at once. The monsters haven't reacted yet. We're all cut. Seeing this scene, all the other players were excited. But the monsters in droves became even more annoyed. Everyone in the crowd was shouting to kill Xianxing. In such a critical situation. One person, however, was completely captivated by Xuanqing's heroic act of rescuing the beauty just now. His face flushed, he decided to join the battle with Xianxing. At this time, Xianxing, who was truly observing the battle, was extremely panicked. Watching this love operation is fierce. He was so afraid that he would reach level 100. Unexpectedly, what you feared most came to pass. Facing the attack of a huge elite monster, Love leaped directly, bit hard into the elite monster's eye. An additional thunderbolt. He also wanted to destroy their will to fight. Revive the already dead giant elite monster. He became his younger brother. Ordinary players were stunned when they saw Xuanqing's actions. They had only seen the boss of Xianxing's resurrection in movies before. This was the first time they had seen it in person, which is enough to prove how shocking the scene was. And the monsters looked at the elite monster who was still their leader just a moment ago. Now, she actually turned her head and looked at them. They all instantly locked in. Players saw this scene and quickly pressed their advantage, once again bursting with the determination to defend their homeland, shouting, "We will fight!" Then many weapon-wielding players also joined the battlefield to help Xianxing eliminate some minions. At this moment, Xianxing, controlled by A, jumped up and arrived in front of another elite monster. A series of strikes separated the monster's head from its body. As Xianxing landed gracefully, the system announced numerous level-up notifications. He could see himself about to reach level 100. From the spectator's view, Xianxing panicked and yelled, "Oh my god! If this continues, he will be disqualified as an esports player."